Hey, and welcome back to another video. This is the first episode of the story where Kushina is taken away from her son and then sold to Orochimaru. There, she is turned into his successor. 13 years later, she returns for revenge and her son. Please support by liking and subscribing. Let's start the show. Kushina could not believe her eyes as her loving husband finished sealing the giant demon fox in front of them into their newborn son. Completely ignoring her pleas for the beast to be sealed within herself to destroy both herself and the beast. Despite being exhausted from having the beast ripped out of her, and holding down the beast for her husband to seal it away, she slowly staggered her way to the ceremonial throne where her baby boy laid wailing to the uncaring heavens. "Damn it, Minato," she grunted out as she saw the spiral design of the seal on the boy's stomach. Still trying to comprehend the man she loved between the man that ruthlessly told her Konoha needed a Jinchuriki. "What was I to you?" she silently whimpered as she fell to her knees next to her newborn son. A wife to be loved or just a way to keep Konoha's weapon loyal? Several thuds alerted her to ninjas landing close by. Raising her gaze from her son, she saw Danzo and several men with blank masks. "Oh, all the old men that could find me." Kushina cursed under her breath. She might not like Hiruzen for the neglect towards her homeland, but she really didn't like Danzo the Warhawk. And she already had a solid idea what the sorry excuse of humanity was thinking the way he eyed her son. Before she could raise a protest and defend her son, darkness engulfed her. As Danzo ordered his men to take the fourth Hokage wife away. He knelt down beside the crying boy, inspecting the masterpiece on the stomach. Pleased that the young fourth Hokage at least made a new Jinchuriki with such a strong heritage. He was almost giddy with the idea of molding the boy into Konoha's ultimate weapon. Danzo. Muffling a curse, he turned around to see his rival Sarutobi Hiruzen approach with a squad of ANBU. "What are you doing here?" Hiruzen asked with a scowl. "I was inspecting the seal." Hiruzen, Danzo replied coolly, a believable excuse, being one of the best seal users after the fourth and his master Jiraiya. The deepening of the scowl and the frigid look in Hiruzen's eyes told Danzo he didn't buy it. "And?" Hiruzen asked, keeping up public appearances for the approaching forces. "The seal is a masterpiece, the boy is the container of the Kyubi no Yoko." Danzo spoke a bit too loudly for everyone to hear, omitting the fact that the beast would be perfectly contained, leaving the more clueless members of the crowd to make their own conclusions. With a bit of pushing, confusion will turn to hatred, and Hiruzen will be forced to hand the boy over to me. Danzo, though with an inward smirk, and judging by the gritting of Hiruzen's teeth, he knew Danzo's game. Hiruzen walked away from the orphanage he just left, Konoha's newest Jinchuriki. Deep in thought, he wondered where Kushina was. To his paining heart they already found his wife Biwako buried beneath the rubble where Kushina gave birth. As family-centric the Uzumaki swear, he was certain Kushina would not abandon her son. It was just one of the many questions of the painful long night. However, why did the seal break while Minato was there? How did Kyubi so suddenly appear next to the Great Walls? A beast of such stature would be heard, seen and felt through the ground as it approached. Yet somehow, the beast appeared next to the walls, like somebody summoned it. But Noon could summon Kyubi. Right? Several weeks later, underground hideout. A calculated risk, Danzo reminded himself as he, and two of his strongest root waited in the dark room for a snake to appear. Coo 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 rang through the room, the haunting sound appearing from a pale snake-like man. "Orochimaru." Danzo. Orochimaru replied, "You have an intriguing request." The man spoke smoothly, "But what do I get in return?" In response, Danzo gestured to his men, one of which opened a large scroll, with a poof and a gust of smoke. Kushina lay before them. "I have heard you are collecting people with Uzumaki blood for some reason." Danzo spoke. Before he could go on, he was interrupted by the snake man. "Live Uzumaki." Danzo, with Kyubi's appearance a couple of weeks ago, which sadly failed to destroy the village. Orochimaru spoke with a mock sigh, "She is quite dead. Jinchuriki don't survive the loss of their beast after all." Wrong. Orochimaru's eyes widened in surprise, and slowly made it towards the woman's body, expertly taking her vital signs, and to his surprise and joy, the wife of his rival for the Hokage seat was alive. Coo, Orochimaru chuckled in joy. I accept your offer, Danzo. Come back in 2 weeks here, and I will give you the Mokuton implant. Nodding in agreement, Danzo watched the snake pick up the woman and disappear into the shadows. The roots must be strong for the leaves to prosper, Danzo spoke to himself. Several more weeks later, Orochimaru's hideout. With a cough and a curse, Orochimaru checked the last-ditch attempt to save his life. And once again, despite the prime specimen used, it had failed. His quest to immortality would ironically claim his life. Cursing all way as he walked towards his study, Orochimaru was for once lost at what he could do. Ever since the takeover of his first host body, he knew something had gone wrong, and now he was slowly dying. Every day he could feel his life force slowly leak out of him. His first attempt to avoid that fate was to jump to another body, but nothing changed. After several other attempts he found out it only fastened the process, each takeover harder than the first. Unsure if he could survive another one, he tried other things, medicine, experiments and artifacts. But nothing worked. As a last attempt he tried to tap into the potent life force of the Uzumaki clan. Sadly the said clan was betrayed during the Second Shinobi War, left to die by Konoha as Kiri and Kumo descended upon the strong island nation like a large pack of wolves after the village suffered significant casualties aiding Konoha. And instead of aiding Uzushio like Uzushio aided Konoha, Hiruzen decided to let the whirlpool spin to its end. Konoha already had a new young Jinchuriki host, and saw no further reason to aid their longtime allies. Finding survivors was hard, long work. In the end he found two, both were however not related to the main family that truly enjoyed the benefits of the clan. So when Danzo came around with the princess of the main family, whose body was further strengthened by whatever Bju do to make their host stronger, Orochimaru was sure he found a solution. But it wasn't. That meant in half a dozen or so years Orochimaru would die. The very thought of that spouted another stream of curses from the normally composed man. After a while, Orochimaru calmed down again and started to think about his future calmly. The time he had left was too short to properly build up a force to could destroy Konoha. Attempting to entice Iwa into attacking their archenemy was unlikely. They were rebuilding themselves from the damage the Yellow Flash did. Kumo suffered from a recent Bju rampage themselves. And Kiri was at the verge of civil war and Suna were Konoha's allies and had no reason to poke the giant. Always having been the weakest of the Great Five after the Second War. That meant he had to make a successor of his legacy. But who? Orochimaru murmured to himself as he leafed through his personnel files. Kabuto, the young genius came to mind, but Orochimaru did not trust the boy. The others were not that brilliant or had no reason to burn the leaf. Unless, Orochimaru thought, I tell them half and full truths to make them hate the leaf. Chuckling to himself, he walked back to his lab, and soon started to awake a certain redhead. Kushina groaned as she came to, her body feeling weak and stiff. Instead of the expected white from a hospital ceiling, she saw a dark roof. Where am I? The woman managed to croak out. Welcome to my hideout, Kushina, a voice spoke silkily. Orochimaru, she spat as soon she saw the well-known snake trader. In response, the man merely chuckled. Why did you kidnap me? She demanded hotly as she tried to pull herself up. I did not kidnap you, Orochimaru replied smoothly. Hearing the disbelieving snort, people in the leaf were more than happy to hand you over in exchange for my services. At this Kushina's eyes widened, replayed her most recent memories before coming to a conclusion. Danzo, she growled. Correct, Orochimaru mock praised. He wanted to speak more, but the woman before him started panicking. My son, what about my son? Did that one-eyed bastard get his hands on my son? Your son? Orochimaru blinked in confusion, before connecting the dots, the fourth used his own son, he chuckled out before taken by surprise by the death glare from Kushina. That bastard lost his right to be my son's father the moment he decided to seal the QB into my son for Konoha, Kushina spat as she wobbly got off the slab she lay upon. I need to find Naruto, Kushina spoke as she tried to hobble to the exit, before she was pushed back into the slab. It's far too late for that. Orochimaru spoke calmly, the sealing happened nearly 2 months ago, at this Kushina's eyes widened in fear. Furthermore, Orochimaru plowed on, do you truly think Danzo would allow you to return to Konoha? The fire in Kushina's eyes told him she hardly cared. Time to bend the truth a bit, Orochimaru chuckled in his mind. Or Hiruzen for that matter, Orochimaru continued, taking delight in Kushina's confusion. While he kept the boy out of Danzo's paws, he did spread the fact the boy is Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. Kushina's gasp told him she knew exactly how hard the boy life would be. Meanwhile Orochimaru took a mock-thinking pose, it's almost like he wants to give Konoha a scapegoat. Egging Kushina on to make the wrong conclusions, by the time she figured it out, he would be dead anyways. So what do you want from me? Kushina demanded, motherly rage getting the better of her. Turn me into an experiment? Orochimaru shakes his head, I have much bigger plans for you. Kushina, seeing her enraged expression, he held up his hands in a pacifying gesture, I want you to become my successor. The statement shocked Kushina from her rage, why? I am dying. Kushina, Orochimaru responded calmly, I made a fatal error, and death is the price. Why me? Because my time is short, and your potential is great. Then what about lackeys or Anko? As your abandoned student she would make a better successor. Kushina pressed. At Anko's name Orochimaru's face darkened. I did not abandon her, she made her choice to delay my pursuers. Then why do her memories claim otherwise? Kushina asked skeptically. At this Orochimaru rolled his eyes. The Yamanaka clan can do more than just enter your mind, removing, adding and altering memories is child's play for experienced users. Oh, was the intelligent response. Deciding to push her more, I am currently building my own village with respective forces, furthermore I already have spies in the leaf. Seeing Kushina was catching on, he pushed on, I can order them to keep an eye out on your baby boy, and when you become my successor, you can take that power to take back your son. Perhaps even take revenge on Hiruzen for what he did to Uzushio. Seeing the woman deep in thought, he asked once more, so Kushina, will you become my successor? I will. Naruto hissed as he massaged his arms, that yesterday were turned into porcupines by Haku, Zabuza's accomplice during the battle on the half-finished bridge. The result of the battle left both of them dead, Sasuke porcupined, Kakashi exhausted, the local midget overlord Gato dead and him, Naruto, the hero of the land of waves. Despite the rest of his team's attempts to make Kakashi and Sasuke look like the heroes. Are you alright Naruto? Tsunami, the bridge builder's daughter asked worried gracing the kind woman with a genuine smile, I am fine Tsunami, thanks for asking. Feeling his arms a bit more, he decided he needed to use more of his lovable, sealed in your stomach, fuzzball's power to properly heal his arms before Kakashi allowed Sasuke to challenge Naruto again. I am heading out for a bit, Naruto said to Tsunami. Where are you going Naruto? Came the hateful tone from Kakashi, including a glare from the lone eye. His other Sharingan eye hidden behind his tilted headband. Plastering on a fake smile he gave all the Kyuubi haters. I am just going around town to get some fresh air and walk off the soreness from all those needles, he spoke with fake cheer. That's not a problem is it? Getting another glare from Kakashi, but no denial. Naruto waves to Tsunami and runs off while Kakashi turned around and checked on the still knocked out Sasuke. Tsunami could only sigh at the exchange, she couldn't understand why the slightly loud, but reasonably polite Naruto would be so hated by his own team. A sentiment the otherwise cheerful boy seemed more than willing to return. The rage she saw in the boy's eyes when her son Inari started whining about the unfairness of life made it quite clear Naruto knew way more about suffering than a 12-year-old should. But the rest of his team either didn't know, or choose to ignore it like Sakura did. Tsunami just wished she could do something. Talking pleasantly and waving off praises was a new, but very pleasant experience for Naruto, who reveled in the positive attention he got the villagers. Unlike the constant hatred, glaring and abuse he normally got back home. Maybe I should injure Sasuke a bit more so we could stay here longer, Naruto mused. Kakashi wants to go back to that hellhole as soon as possible for some reason. Naruto soon squashed that idea. He was far too kind-hearted despite everything to do something like that. Despite his unpleasant upbringing with very few friends. Moving out of town, and doing his utmost to make sure he wasn't spied upon, he gently drew upon Kyuubi's power, channeling to his arms who took the brunt of all the needles Haku tossed around. As usual, the beast took this opportunity to talk to him. You could just use my power to destroy that hellhole. Ignoring the mind-reading beast, he focused the demonic churka on his arms. One of these days you will use my power. The beast roared, not taking kindly to being ignored. I told you before, I am not going to rely on your power. A thunderous snort echoed through his mind. One of these days you will realize power is the only thing that counts in this world, and you will come begging to me. Naruto barked a short laugh. Never. Before he stopped pulling on Kyuubi's power and settled down, it would take a while before the connection closed again. And the last thing he wanted was getting caught talking to the beast. Despite being the evidence, they weren't the same as Konoha seemed to think. A deep growl emanated from Kyuubi. You are just like my previous hosts, never using my power unless I force it upon you. Naruto startled in surprise. Usually his short conversations over the years was Kyuubi offering power, Naruto ignoring it and so forth, rarely breaching other subjects, unless it was advice that Naruto had to admit kept him safe, like playing ignorant about being Kyuubi's host in the first place until Mizuki conveniently revealed it to him. Losing himself in the recent memories, he remembered playing along with the obvious fake second exam after the normal one was so clearly sabotaged. He nicked the forbidden scroll, learned a neat jutsu from it, got Mizuki to reveal the so badly hidden secret about his Jinchuriki status, and got a dubious friendship with Iruka, an original Kyuubi hater who admitted he was wrong. Didn't mean the bastard did something with it. Aside from giving some free ramen, he never bothered making up for ignoring all the sabotage attempts. Now that I think about the beast went on, ignorant of Naruto's moment of introspective. Your family name is Uzumaki, isn't it? Yes, what about it? Naruto responded in his thoughts, still unsure when Kyuubi was going. HRMPH, my previous host Uzumaki Kushina was a fiery, loud woman with an unhealthy love for that slop you call ramen. Heh, you could be her son. The fox spoke carelessly. Excited he might learn something about his family, Naruto drew a tiniest sliver of Kyuubi's power to keep the link open. What happened to her? She is dead, the beast spoke bluntly, taking delight in Naruto's deflated expression. Deciding to elaborate, no host survives the extraction of the tailed beast. Naruto tsuked in disappointment, trust Kyuubi to ruin something positive into something horrible. Still, he trusted the enormous being of chakra more than he did to anyone else. So far the fox stayed true to his promise to only speak the truth as it knew it. Still, you are probably her son. Crazy woman was birthing a child shortly before I was released. Naruto sighed. Well, at least I know my mother's name now. The beast already having told him about the events as far as it knew to him. Stopping the draw of power, Naruto mediated until he felt that presence disappear from the back of his mind while formulating a decent response to give to the old lying man Hokage about the power he got from Kyuubi when things became too sticky for the beast's opinion. Satisfied he could talk his way out of it should the old man get suspicious, Naruto headed back to Tsunami's house. Ignoring the obvious biased debriefing in front of the Hokage, Naruto barely held in a snicker as the last two Sharingan users in Konoha embellished their efforts. Oh, the irony when I tell them that the reason Kyuubi attacked Konoha was that damn pinky eye. Naruto thought as Sasuke showed off his eyes, while Sakura squealed in delight and Kakashi nodded in pride. Afterwards Naruto spun a convincing story how Sasuke's knockout by Haku's Needles convinced him he died as the duck-butt-haired bastard tried to hide behind him pushed him into a rage that caused him to go berserk on Haku. That Naruto was in full control was something the Hokage and Kakashi did not need to know. Both the old monkey and the copycat bought the story. And reminded him not to depend on the power of the dangerous fox, because he could hurt his friends and allies. Like I have that many, Naruto snorted to himself. As Naruto was dismissed, he heard Hiruzen remind Kakashi about the Chunin exams, freezing Naruto's blood ice cold as he stiffly kept walking. No way the team is ready for that. Damn it, that single pink eye will sign us up for the dual pinky eyes. Naruto ranted to himself. Naruto was fairly aware what the Chunin exams contained, having paid attention to the contestants around 3 years ago when they happened in Konoha. Still, he needed advice and quickly made his way to the hospital to find his longtime friend Kabuto. Sneaking his way past the inattentive Chunin guards, he soon made his way to the break room, hoping Kabuto would still be having dinner before he started his evening shift. Lady Luck was once again on his side, and he saw the gray-haired boy cleaning up the dishes behind himself. "Hey Kabuto!" Naruto hollered carelessly through the room. Kabuto sighed and turned around to face the blonde boy. "Naruto-kun," he spoke, his voice soft, "what did I say about your manners?" Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly, "Sorry, good afternoon Kabuto-san," he recited. Kabuto chuckled in response, "You will learn one day Naruto-kun, why did you come here? The Chunin exams are coming up, and I am sure Cyclops will sign us up." Kabuto nodded, agreeing with his logic. "I don't think the team is ready." Me and Duckbutt, the nickname, got a disapproving look from Kabuto. "Might be strong enough, but the stupid thing is a team effort, which we clearly aren't." Kabuto frowned, he was under orders to convince the entire team to participate. "Don't worry too much Naruto-kun, the final part is nearly always an individual showcasing of skills, judged by Chunin and Jonin." Kabuto's words had the opposite effect than he intended, and Naruto deflated further. "I might as well not bother. It's not like they'll promote the demon boy. No use risking my life just to get Duckbutt promoted." Kabuto withheld an improper word, wishing he could smack himself for making such a mistake, taking another tack. He sighed in agreement. "That might be true Naruto-kun, but think about the trouble you will get into if you don't show up." "Heh, like that pinky-eyed Cyclops trains me." Naruto complained, but before Kabuto could respond, "But you are right, as always. Thanks for the help as always Kabuto." Remembering Kabuto's efforts to teach him manners, he bowed slightly. Kabuto beamed that his lifelong efforts finally had some results. Before coming back to Earth and remembering his mission. "Naruto-kun, whatever happens, keep an open mind." He spoke, before turning back to his dishes, ignoring the confused look Naruto shot him. Knowing Kabuto could be cryptic time from time, he decided to remember the advice, and quickly snuck out of the hospital. As the starting date of the Chunin exams approached, Naruto slowly gained the hope Kakashi showed up late to whatever registration was supposed to happen, and the team would not participate. Of course, in typical Kakashi fashion, on the day before it started, he appeared with forms in his hand, cheerfully informing the team to fill them in and appear at room 301 the next day. Before disappearing again, leaving the group who waited for 3 hours just to receive some forms. Predictably, Sasuke stormed off, intent to train. Followed quickly by his pink-haired groupie. Leaving Naruto behind on the field. Who looked at the form like it was a death sentence. What to do, he started to mumble to himself, replaying Kabuto's advice in his head. Lost in thought, he did not sense a person approaching him. Era, thinking about the Chunin exams, a female voice called out, shocking Naruto out of his thoughts. Whirling about, he saw a bright red-headed woman with blue eyes with black pupils that had a slit in them. Despite her long hair, she wore plain gray garbs with a jounin vest. Indicating her rank, her headband a musical note on it. "Ah. Yes, I am that I am not sure if I should take them." Naruto hastily answers, still distracted by the, in his opinion, beautiful hair. And why would you not? You should be strong enough. Seeing Naruto's frown at the question, surely Konoha trained its Jinchuriki well. The woman drawled on carelessly. Naruto, shocked, took a step back. Who are you? How did you know? The woman laughed. Why Naruto-kan, nearly everybody in Konoha knows about the little fox inside you, surely you didn't think the rest of the world would not pick that up. As for my name. Kensuke Oto, Jounin of the Genin team from Oto. Naruto felt like banging his head against a rock for the first part. Like I need an even bigger target on my back. Hello world, I am the container of the nine-tailed evil fox of doom, he thought sarcastically. At the second part he narrowed his eyes at the obvious alias. Well, what do you want? He asked rudely. Still unnerved about his secret known to the rest of the world. Era, I bring a message from your mother, the woman replied. My mother is dead, Naruto interrupted. Era, you know who your parents are? The woman asked surprised. Naruto was silent for a moment, weighing his curiosity for this supposed message against giving away information. He decided to play safe. Only my mother's name, and that she could not survive the night I was born. She slightly tilted her head, processing his response before a slight smile made it to her face. Era, of course you'd think she didn't survive the extraction of the beast. Smiling further when Naruto took another step back in surprise, his eyes the size of saucer plates. Clearly you haven't been told about your clan's bloodline limit. Any clan bloodline limit? Naruto sputtered out. How much did that damn fossil lie to me about? Era, not even told about your clan, she laughed. Haven't you heard in class or looked in the library? Naruto's face crunched in concentration. No. I never heard of it, and I did read most of the books about clans. Mostly so that I know who or what I could face since nobody would teach or help me. Damn fox does have good ideas time from time. The woman chuckled again. Era, they really didn't tell you anything, did they? Well, your mother is alive, she misses you and she will come to get you soon. Naruto scowled, and why would she wait? Oh, I don't know, 13 years. The humor from the woman's face disappeared. She survived that terrible night. You were stolen from her arms by the fourth Hokage to be used for the sealing. She was kidnapped and sold away that same night. The people responsible are very important in Konoha. By the time she awoke she was far too weakened to do anything. Naruto was taken aback by the venom in the woman's voice, but soon softened. She truly wanted you, Naruto-kan, and never wanted to burden you with the Kyuubi. It is well known Jinchuriki are poorly treated. She looked away, as if hearing something far away. I have to go, she said abruptly. Wait. Where is she? What about my clan? Who is my father? Naruto wanted to shoot more questions, but the woman already disappeared behind the trees. Naruto quickly ran to follow her, but she was gone. Make it far enough in the Chunin exams and I will answer some questions. Naruto-kan, looking around to spot the voice, Naruto groaned in disappointment, wondering why the woman suddenly left. His answer came 20 seconds later, as Kakashi suddenly poofed in near Naruto. Naruto, he spoke coldly. Hatake, Naruto replied evenly cold. I do hope you are considering to participate in the exams. Don't worry Hatake, I found my reasons too, and what might those reasons be? None of your damn business, Naruto snarled. Kakashi narrowed his single eye at Naruto, clearly considering to use force to get the reason out of the boy. But he relented. I see you tomorrow Naruto, whatever, Naruto replied, still deep in thought about what the woman said. So I have a clan, a bloodline. I still don't know for sure who my mother is, who supposedly is kidnapped by somebody from Konoha and sold off. And I don't have a clue who my father is, and what happened to him. And apparently people in Konoha should know all of this. And that woman. Kensuke Oto, or better known as Uzumaki Kushina, heaved a sigh, as she tried to control the shaking of her body. The sheer terror of the thought her boy might reject her for not being there took a heavy toll on her. "Kushina-sama?" Kabuto inquired carefully. "Are you alright?" She smiled weakly at the ever-loyal boy she freed from Danzo's clutches. Who was forced by that man to be a contact person and spy on Orochimaru. Who in turn used him as gopher boy and shoved off the more dirty and less interesting experiments on him. Kushina stopped that. She took her teacher's interest in experimentation, but only used it as punishment on the scum of the earth. And did not force her people to help her in her endeavors. "I am alright, Kabuto-kun. It was harder than I thought. I just wanted to pick him up, run back to Oto and never let go." Kabuto nodded in understanding. "One more month, Kushina-sama," he encouraged. It worked. Kushina's smile widened. "One more month and he'll be mine. And Konoha will pay for their transgressions." Naruto withheld a smug smirk as he saw Sasuke pick himself up from the trashing rock Lee handed to him. His copy useless against the boy's supreme speed. For a supposed genius, he first reveals the first obstacle of the exams, and then challenges someone who is clearly superior to him, Naruto thought to himself as the team made their way to the correct room. Once there, they were greeted by an eye-smiling Kakashi, who took their forms. "I wish you luck, and remember, work as a team, and ditch that bastard fox boy as soon as you can. The sooner you die, the sooner Sensei can rest in peace. We will be fine." Naruto responded with fake cheer. The Uchiha grunted, and Sakura just nodded in faux confidence. The team walked into the room, which was slowly filling up with teams from all over the elemental nations. They were greeted with a loud, "You made it." Even with the clan less dead last and all. Naruto bit back a scathing response, now knowing both statements were false. And settled by rolling his eyes as he saw the dog boy followed by the shy Hyuga heiress and the stoic Abure member. Both politely greeted the team, something Naruto and Sakura returned the sentiment, while Sasuke silently kept his aloof demeanor. Kiba continued his rant, which the rest of the group ignored. They could however not ignore the loud shriek "Sasuke-kun" from Ino, as she barreled into the Uchiha, knocking him over. "You rookies should keep it down," Kabuto spoke as he approached the group. "You are attracting all the attention, which isn't good in the exams." He turned towards Naruto. "I see you decided to come." Before Naruto could respond, Kiba butted in, "Too afraid to come, Naruto eh?" Naruto rolled his eyes again. "I wasn't sure if the team could do it, Kiba." "And yes, Kabuto, I did thanks to your advice," Kiba snorted in response. "You are the weakest, I wouldn't worry about the team." Naruto successfully repressed the urge to prove Kiba was wrong. "Naruto-kun's worries are founded. I failed the last exam because the team did not work together." "Ano, Kabuto-san. You did the exams before?" Sakura asked. Kabuto laughed sheepishly. "Yes, I did, this would be my 7th attempt." "Ha, losers stick together, I see," Kiba laughed at Kabuto. "Ignore Kiba, he has a big troublesome ego. Since you have been in the exams before, could you tell us more?" Shikamaru asked, trying to gather information to make it less troublesome. "Of course, anything to help a fellow Konoha ninja." Kabuto responded, causing the 9 rookie ninja to gather around him. The exam is usually in 3 of 4 parts, with the last part being a public event. Depending on how many contestants make it through, these will be one-on-one or team matches. Since I went through the exam multiple times, I gathered data on the possible enemies. Anybody you want to know about? Sabaka no Gaara, Rock Lee and Uzumaki Naruto, Sasuke demanded to the surprise of the rest. "Why would you want to know about that loser Sasuke? You could beat him easily." Kiba commented before Kabuto could start. Ignoring the interruption. "Sabaka no Gaara, 14 years old, he is from Suna, so I don't have too much information. Surprisingly few dranks, 12 crank missions and WoW. 2 brank missions. Most genin don't even do one. It also notes he has quite some control over sand, must be an unknown bloodline ability. He is the son of the current Kazekage. Pretty impressive. Naruto wondered why Sasuke was interested in the boy, apparently having missed something. The marks around the boy's eyes unsettled him, it reminded him of his own whisker marks he got from Kyubi. I need to ask Kyubi about that later, I hope it isn't too grumpy. Rock Lee, 14 years old. He is Konoha, so I got more information on him. He is quite good in taijutsu. And what is this? Kabuto frowned, apparently no talent in ninjutsu or genjutsu. You don't see that often. His teammates are Hyuga Niji and Tenten. Their sensei is Mado Gai. As a team he did, well, quite a large amount of drank missions. 8 crank missions and a single brank one. He has no bloodline abilities and his heritage is unknown as he is an orphan. Probably because of the Kyubi attack 13 years ago. Sasuke grunted in annoyance, the card giving no more information than before. Last but not least, Uzumaki Naruto, 13 years old, you know where he is from. Average scores in taijutsu, that's weird, despite his massive chakra reserves his ninjutsu knowledge is limited. Because of those reserves his genjutsu is abyssal. You also know who his teammates are. His sensei is Hitaki Kakashi. As a team he did a number of dranks. And a crank turned A rank. Naruto also did a solo A rank mission. His Kabuto recited before a shriek from Sakura interrupted solo A rank mission. No way Narutabaka has done that. I did do that Sakura, Naruto said tiredly. Getting sick of people putting his hard work down. What did you do then? I am sure Sasuke-kun would have done better than the dope. Sakura, remember the regulations. Naruto responded, getting more irritated. What regulations? You just didn't do that mission, did you? All missions above rank are not allowed to be discussed in a public place, the penalty for doing so is decided by a board depending on the information released. Naruto recited. Use that forehead of yours, Pinky. In the anger of being put in her place, Sakura lashed out, but Naruto handily dodged. Before it could escalate, Shino interfered. Fighting now is not logical, you know why? Because that could get your team expelled, he put down plainly. As Sakura simmered down. As I wanted to say before I was interrupted. Kabuto started dryly, Naruto has yet to activate the supposedly Uzumaki bloodline. His heritage is deeply classified. Kiba was once again to speak up Uzumaki bloodline. He is just a clan less dope. Although the rest did not nod, they did agree in their minds. Naruto meanwhile looked betrayed. You knew about it, Kabuto? Why didn't you tell me? Sorry Naruto-kun, I only read about it recently. I just read that the Uzumakis can make their chakra solid somehow. Even if I told you, what could you do with it? Naruto sighed and raised his hands in surrender. You are right again, Kabuto, sorry for snapping at you. Kabuto merely waved it off. No problem, Naruto-kun, I understand. The proctors will come soon, I am rejoining my team. Right on cue, the doors slammed open, and in a giant puff of smoke, a large group of Chunin led by a Jounin appeared. Alright maggots. Listen and shut up. The first part of the Chunin exams start now. Enter this room and take your seat with your name on it. Those who fail to follow these simple instructions will be thrown out. With flair, the man turned around, walking into a large classroom. Many tables formed long lines. Each table with a single pencil and a paper on it. The Chunin hopefuls rushing after him, quickly scrambling to take the correct seat. Naruto quickly found his own seat, and found Hinata would sit beside him. Gracing the girl which caused her to blush when she arrived, he couldn't help but remember their first meeting when he fought off some bullies who had it out for her. Sadly, before they could chat, her caretaker came in and took Hinata away. The next time they met was much later in the classroom. They chatted quite a bit that day, despite Hinata's stutter. The next day when he approached her she could only stutter out, "Not allowed to talk to you," before shuffling off. figuring out it was her parents telling her to stay away from. Again. Naruto respected her decision, yet after a while they started to have short talks after class. He suspected Hinata had a crush on him, but he acted oblivious, reproaching her feelings with smiles and other kind gestures, without actually talking about it, afraid he would land the girl into trouble if he did reproach her feelings openly. He was certain the girl knew about the fox he carried around. She once spent a full week constantly stalking him, before coming to what he suspected was the correct conclusion: he wasn't a fox. Because she spent more time talking to him afterwards, despite the harshness of the punishments. Coming from her clan when she stayed away too long. For that he was eternally grateful to her. Aside from her, only Kabuto was genuine with his friendship. The Hokage was a deceiving old man with his grandfather act. Iruka kept his distance despite his claim to be a friend. And the people at the ramen stand merely served him because they had standards, but otherwise did not interact closely with the demon boy. You can start now. Ibiki shouted, snapping Naruto out of his introspective. HHHSD. He flipped the form over on instinct, and was consequently flabbergasted by the first question. And the second. And the third. The only one that made sense was the 10th, which actually was an instruction it would be revealed 15 minutes before time. Damn it, why didn't I pay attention? Naruto shouted to himself in his mind, panic setting in. Taking a deep breath, he calmed himself down. Panicking will only make it worse, find your center Naruto, he chanted to himself. He sneakily glanced to his side, and saw the telltale bulge of her Byakugan. Surprised at the normally shy girl's blatant attempt at cheating, he quickly connected the dots. The questions weren't hard because he was being sabotaged, it was a spying assignment. This was confirmed when the first team was thrown out. Suspecting he only had a limited amount of chances to cheat, and lacking severely in the cheating bloodline or jutsu department, Naruto knew he had to do it the traditional way, and calmly waited as Hinata worked her way down her questions. He suspected she was trying to help him by slightly tilting the paper so he could read it more easily, and having quite an open stance. He soon as filled in his own paper, just in time too, as the scarred bear of a proctor spoke up again. Listen up maggots, it's time for the 10th question. Before you take the question, you need to make a choice. You either take the question, and if you get it wrong, you will not be able to take the exams ever again. Or you can decide not to take the question and walk out of that door with your team, taking the exams next time. A moment of stunned silence permeated the room, before the first participant shouted, "You can't do that." "I can maggot," Ibiki roared back, stunning the participant back his chair. "People did the exams before," a girl complained. A smug smirk made its way on Ibiki's scarred face. "Well, those exams didn't have me," his smile turned bloodthirsty. "So, ready to lose your chance for ever becoming Chunin?" That broke the girl, and she fled out of room. Her team soon called out to follow her. Naruto's mind was whirling. Never take the exams again. Can he really do that? Even then, there are other ways to get promoted. A bluff? He then felt like slapping himself again. Chunin need to make these kind decisions for their team themselves, going into situations without having the full picture. He saw Hinata fidget, her self-confidence not prepared for this kind of onslaught. He quickly scooted closer to her and softly whispered, "It's a bluff, Hinatakin, and there are other ways to get promoted." The girl blushed deep red and nodded weakly. Naruto smiled to himself, happy he repaid her help. Then the smile dropped, realizing his pink-haired teammate would probably forfeit herself. He quickly whirled around, seeing her slowly raise her hand while she looked at him. He bristled at the implication, "Giving up because I am not ready?" And shot the girl the nastiest glare he could muster, taking her aback, causing her to drop her hand. Holding the glare for a moment to make sure she didn't get any ideas, he turned back towards Ibiki. Keeping a close eye on both girls, more teams dropped out, and after a while, no more left. "Last chance maggots," Ibiki boomed confidently. "Anyone?" "No." "Very well. You all pass. Once again, the room was silent, before another uproar came from the remaining participants. Naruto flashed a big smile at Hinata, who once again blushed deeply, and nodded her thanks. Naruto turned back paying attention to Ibiki's explanation, and was happy his thoughts were correct. Intrigued he saw the scarring on Ibiki's skull, once again punching him with the reality of being a shinobi. Before Ibiki could finish his explanation however, a dark blur bashed through the windows, a large black banner with red letters saying, "The sexy second examiner Mitarashi Anko." The woman, Anko, surveyed the room. "A bit more than I expected, Ibiki. Getting soft." Ibiki snorted, "We got a talented bunch this year." Anko laughed, "Well, that doesn't matter, I will cut these numbers in half." After Anko's disturbing statement she would cut the numbers in half, she ordered the group to head towards Training Ground 44. As the different genin teams scrambled towards the training ground, Naruto approached Sakura. "Sakura," he called out, causing the pink-haired girl to turn around. Meeting a frigid glare from Naruto. "If you ever dare to make a decision for me," he left the threat to the girl imagination, he quick paling showing she had won, before she suddenly recovered. "Are you threatening me, Naruto-baka?" she hissed. Naruto repressed the urge to slap her. "Sakura, you might be on top of the class because of your bookwork, but remember who took down one of the demon brothers, remember who took down Haku while you were shivering like the little girl you are. Out of the entire class, you are the weakest." While the two had their argument, Sasuke approached and watched on silently, not truly interested, but agreeing nonetheless. Sakura glanced towards him at the hope her knight would jump in and save her. Sasuke just grunted, "HN, we need to hurry up," before setting off again. Sakura gulped, once again left alone with the teammate her mother called a monster. She was so used to berating the boy, she never thought he would bite back like he did now. Frankly, it unnerved her to the core. Naruto stopped glaring, "He is right, let's go." He spoke coldly, his usual cheer far, far gone. Sakura shivered, perhaps mother was right, and quickly followed the boys. Upon arriving, they saw the scantily clad proctor eating dango, waiting for the last few stragglers to arrive. Behind her was a large forest of gigantic trees. A massive fence keeping the wild nature contained. "Welcome to the 44th Training Ground, also known as the Forest of Death." A well-timed roar from the forest punctuated her statement. Anko shivered in delight from the fear emitted by frightened genin, her happiness dampened when she saw a certain blonde genin. Sobering up, she remembered her job. "Now," she started, holding up 2 scrolls. "In this second exam your team will receive one of these scrolls, your mission is to retrieve the other one by any means necessary. There are 24 teams, meaning at best, 12 will pass." The genin starting seizing each other up warily, now understanding her statement she made in the classroom. "You are forbidden to open these scrolls until you reach the tower in the center of the forest. You can only proceed from there if you have both scrolls. The time limit for this assignment is 5 days. She ignored the shouts of outrage, "You are not allowed to leave the training ground no matter what. You will only be coming out after 5 days, alive, or in a body bag." She finished with a bloodthirsty grin. "In order to retrieve your team's scroll, you need to fill out this form, where you basically absolve Konoha from any responsibility what happens to you inside the forest. If you have any questions, well that's too bad, do try to spill that delicious red blood of yours," she finished, her bloodthirsty grin growing ever wider. The teams quickly filled in their forms and handed them over for their scroll, hiding it somewhere on their person while walking towards their assigned gate. Team 7 soon stood in front of gate 27 with their Heaven scroll. Through the loudspeakers attached to the gate, Anko's voice came in, "The second part of the exam starts in 3.2.1, start." Upon start the gates flew open, and each team darted into the forest. Predictably, Sasuke pulled up ahead, implying he would take the leadership role. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the Uchiha's blatant attempt to be superior again. No, he chastised himself, best to play along for now, this exam is too dangerous for us to fight each other. Making his decision, Naruto fell back to the rear since Sakura wanted to close to her precious Sasuke-kun, forming a textbook formation. Meanwhile at Gate 20, the team of Kusa Genin also shot into the forest. As soon they were out of sight of the fence, 2 of the genin disappeared in puffs of smoke. The remaining genin also was clouded in smoke, and soon revealed a familiar redhead. "Now where are you, son?" she whispered quietly to herself. Quite excited to see her son's power for herself. She had read the reports, and could quite clearly see that her boys' achievements were written off. And time to find out if Mikoto's boy is worth saving. Forming several hand seals, in a puff of smoke, several man-sized snakes made their appearance. She held out a piece of orange cloth for them to taste. "One of the first things I am going to teach my son is how to dress properly," she mused to herself as her minions slithered away. Naruto was happy his play-along tactic worked. The Uchiha was thankfully smart enough not to lord his superiority in the forest, and led the team quietly. The pink-haired groupie thankfully mimicked his silent lead. Suddenly mid-leap, Naruto's danger sense tingled, but before he could land was blown into a tree by a violent wind. Naruto groaned in pain as he attached himself to the tree before he could fall down. "Show yourself, and face the Uchiha might," Sasuke demanded. He was on a branch, and managed to keep himself on it with chakra. Naruto quickly scanned the environment for his other teammate, and saw her whimpering several trees to his left, cradling her arm. He couldn't judge from this distance, but he highly doubted it was broken. If there was enough force in that blast to break bones, he would be knocked out by now. Era, I missed," a familiar voice called out. Naruto let free an oath. Facing a Jonin was not on his plan today. "Why are you here?" Naruto shouted. Sasuke had whipped around to face Naruto. "You know her, dobe." "We need to run, Sasuke, she is a Jonin," Naruto responded, keeping his eyes on their foe. The Uchiha's usual scowl deepened, not taking the advice kindly. "Shut up, dobe, don't tell me what to do." Naruto gritted his teeth, really hating the title, dobe. The woman raised an eyebrow. "Truly took after you, father, did you, Sasuke?" Era, I was hoping to have a little chat with Naruto-kun here." "Why would you be interested in that weakling? I am an Uchiha," Sasuke shouted. If it wouldn't take his view away from the enemy, Naruto would have face-palmed. "Don't provoke her, she is stronger than us. We need to retreat." Naruto shouted again, trying to make Sasuke see sense. It didn't work. The Uchiha once again took his eyes off his opponent. "Shut up, coward. No one can stand up to the might of the UC." Before he could finish his bold declaration, a foot to the face blasted him into the tree next to Naruto. Era, keep your eyes on your enemy, Uchiha," the woman taunted. With Sasuke temporarily distracting her, Naruto silently formed a shadow clone to carry away Sakura, but as the clone landed next to his teammate, a blindingly fast kunai from the woman destroyed his clone. Era, trying to run away, Naruto-kun, are you really a coward? Naruto withheld his temper at the insult, but his anger already awoken his inner beast, who took in the events silently. Better a coward and alive than a hero and die uselessly. The woman smiled in response, but before she could reply Sasuke vented his anger. "Damn you, whore, feel honored, I will face you." Before he could do more, the woman blurred in front of him, and with another spinning kick, launched him into another tree. Naruto rapidly leapt away, forming multiple shadow clones, trying to surround the woman while yet again another clone tried to sneak away with Sakura, who was now rigid with terror. The woman flared her chakra, and a dark feeling settled across the genin. This woman is powerful, Sasuke thought with wide eyes. She will do to bear my offspring. His mind switching from revenge to rebuild the clan, Sasuke blazed his Sharingan. You are a strong woman, submit to the Uchiha clan and bear the next generation. You will be richly rewarded. He spoke with authority. The rest gaped at the declaration. What? Kushina said flatly. looking at the Uchiha like he sprung a second head. Naruto was sure the woman's kicks broke the Uchiha's brain, but happily took the distraction to haul Sakura out of the fighting zone. You heard me, become my first wife, and together we will rebuild the elite Uchiha clan. Sasuke spoke like it was the most logical thing in the world. Mikakan, your son is completely bonkers. Kushina thought. Then her pranking mind set in. Boo. And who says you are strong enough for me? You weak little Uchihas were destroyed by a single man. She taunted. I will kill Itachi. Sasuke roared, leaping across trying to hit Kushina, who grabbed his wrist and flung him back into the tree he came from. You are far too weak to kill Itachi as you are now. Kushina spoke mockingly. Sasuke glared with his Sharingan, still trying to stand back up. But, she started teasingly, if you master this power I might consider your proposal. And with that she launched a snake with lightning speed to Sasuke. The snake biting into his shoulder close to his neck. A large seal forming. Using a snake is so much easier than yourself, never understood Orki did it that way. Kushina mused to herself as the seal finished forming. The target screaming in pain before falling unconscious. A curse attracted her attention to her target of the excursion, at least it isn't as bad as Taiyukin, she thought with a frown. Ignoring the odd interplay of emotions on the woman's face, Naruto quickly cooked up his escape plan, using his favorite tactic, mob it with shadow clones. Forming the familiar cross-hand sign, several dozen copies jumped into existence, quickly joining its brethren surrounding the impassive woman, before charging her. Era, so many Narutos, Kushina spoke huskily. A couple of clones blanched at the implication, but were soon dispelled with their brethren as the woman moved an intricate dance of death. As soon the smoke cleared, Kushina saw she was alone. Era, my boy is smart. A grin made its way on her face, but I want to see how strong he is, she quickly leapt forward, tracking the path the boy took in his escape. Naruto tried to catch his breath. Both his teammates still in La La Land. Sasuke from whatever. The woman placed on him, Sakura went out like a light when the woman flared her chakra. He was grateful for that however, he doubted he could haul her around otherwise. He managed to find some decent cover, and despite the encounter still held onto their scroll. With his companions hidden away, Naruto finally relaxed. Too early, sadly. Era, there you are Naruto-kun. Naruto whirled to face the voice, and quickly ducked before her foot embedded itself in his face. Rolling away to keep his distance, he palmed a kunai and took a defensive stance. What do you want? He barked. Tired of being toyed with? The woman slightly tilted her head, observing him as a specimen in a lab. Era, I just want to see how strong you are. To see if you are strong enough to learn more about your clan. She formed a shadow clone, who walked into the hiding spot Naruto stashed his teammates away. Era, don't worry about them. I just want to have your full attention. She said, catching his concerned glance. I am surprised you care so much about them, they do not treat you kindly. Naruto growled, I don't care about them, but if the mighty Uchiha is hurt, I am the one in trouble. The woman's playful demeanor evaporated. Why do you stay with this village then? She asked. Because I have nowhere else to go, Naruto replied tiredly, slumping into himself despite the situation. His mind went over the option of running away more often than he liked, but with nowhere to go, he knew he wouldn't survive. Don't worry Naruto-kun, your mother will come and get you soon. She spoke with surprising kindness. Naruto stood rigid. Where is she? He demanded. I will tell you, if you are strong enough, Kushina replied, inwardly hurting to string her son along. But revealing herself too early would hurt them both and her plan in the end. Naruto's face turned angry, and he spoke inwardly. Kyuubi, give me your power, he demanded his inner beast, and he felt the beast smirk. I told you would beg me for power, the beast responded smugly. Naruto would have rolled his eyes. Yes, you are right, now could you give me 2 taels of your power, we both want to survive this. And work with me please, a growl communicated the beast's assent. A red chakra soon wrapped itself around Naruto. Kushina frowned, not expecting her boy to reach for the beast's chakra straight away. Before dodging left to avoid get clawed apart as the cubified Naruto shot forward. A quick game of mouse and cat formed. Kushina's frowning all the way, did he lose control already, she wondered, as she landed on another branch. Naruto soon proved her wrong, mid-leap towards her, his hands shot down, yet the chakra claws remained while he formed the hand seal for the shadow clone technique. Kushina's eyebrows shot upwards in surprise as suddenly two clones poofed into existence, grabbed onto her, while the chakra arms doubled in size, rearing above Naruto as they prepared to shred her. Kushina smiled, looks like he is in control and had a plan. As the claws descended, she suddenly twisted and turned, tossing the clones away in a burst in strength before using the replacement jutsu with an unfortunate log, which was shredded and burned by Kyuubi's power. Kushina's smile widened as she consequently escaped multiple attempts on her life by Naruto's clever use of combinations with the limited jutsu he knew. Somebody is approaching despite the barrier, Kushina thought, as she suddenly sensed the approach of a person despite the seal she placed to have some privacy while she chased the boy down. Quickly dashing forward, avoiding impalement by the chakra tail. She whipped out a seal from her pouch and slammed it onto Naruto's forehead. Immediately the Kyuubi's chakra receded. And Naruto slumped into dreamland, quickly caught by Kushina before he could fall to the forest floor. She smiled softly at her child, such a control over the fox's chakra at your age Naruken. She praised softly, placing the boy safely on a branch. She unsealed a scroll and stuffed it down his jacket, hiding it from view. She also used that opportunity to do a quick health check on her son, and took a blood sample. A bit small for his age. Either his Uzumaki blood is strong, or he wasn't well fed as a baby. She scowled, certain it was the second reason. Nothing I cannot fix, he'll be as tall as his sperm donor. Standing back up to face the intruder, she saw Enko land. Orochimaru, the woman shouted outraged. Kushina quickly switched her persona, Kukuku, Enkakan, is that how you greet your former master? She mimicked Orochimaru. Why are you, what do you want? Enko demanded hotly while she coiled herself to attack. Kukuku, I just came here to give the Uchiha a gift. Do not cancel the exams, or face my wrath. Kushina spoke, before allowed the mud clone to crumble, she herself already well hidden in the trees. Enko cursed up a storm, soon entered the hideout. There Enko saw Sasuke still knocked out, sweating badly. At the spot she expected, she saw a seal. It looks like the cursed seal, yet very different. A new version. Not able to do much more, she quickly inspected the girl beside the Uchiha, aside from some nasty bruises, she didn't see anything wrong. With a sharp slap, she rudely awakened Sakura. What happened? She demanded from the scared and confused girl. I don't know, she stuttered out, just that the scary woman attacked us. She was so strong. Enko blinked, and suddenly realized that Orochimaru was indeed a woman. How the hell did that happen? Filing it away for later, she refocused on the girl. Stay here and watch your teammate, I will bring your other teammate soon. And with that she exited the hideout. Jumping over to the still knocked out Naruto, her distaste for him took over once again. Taking out a kunai, she briefly considered ending his life right here. But that would lead to questions from his pink-haired teammate, and if she killed her, investigation would happen, and she would be interrogated. Sighing, she ripped off the seal on his forehead. Groaning awake, he stood face to face with the proctor. What happened? She demanded. Naruto blinked, trying to focus. Behind the woman, hidden in the trees he saw a familiar redhead mouthing, lie. That woman attacked us out of nowhere. Did something with Sasuke that formed so black thing on his shoulder. He blinked, realizing he did not sense his connection with Kyuubi. I went berserk on her with the fox's power. Did I kill her? He asked innocently, his mind frantically trying to make up a convincing lie. You didn't, Orochimaru knocked you out with this seal. Naruto blinked, his curiosity blazing. Seals can do that? Anko merely shrugged. Your team is hidden away there, she pointed roughly towards the hideout. Despite his interference, the exam is still ongoing. Naruto groaned in dismay. And Anko soon disappeared into the forest. As he stood up, he felt two items hidden in his clothing. One labeled Earth, the other labeled Uzumaki. Naruto quickly unfurled the Uzumaki scroll. And saw several seals in it, each labeled. His quick scan revealed History, Bloodline, Seal Basics. There were also some instructions which revealed how to unseal the contents and how to reseal them. Quickly closing the scroll, and stuffing it away in his jumpsuit, he made his way towards the hideout. Where he saw his pink teammate fussing over the still sweating and tossing Sasuke. I am touched that she cares so much about me, and pays so much attention to her environment, Naruto thought. How is he? Nearly jumping in surprise, Sakura turned towards Naruto. I don't know, she replied. Pinching his nose about the enormous amount of mistakes she just made, like failing to verify he really is Naruto, standard procedure for treating those who are harmed by unknown means. And she is supposed to be the best female student, Naruto mused wryly. Do you think he can be moved? He asked instead, stuffing his irritation away. She huffed, and why would you want to do that, Naruto-baka? She bit out automatically. In response, a scroll knocked hard against her head. Why did you do that, Baka? She shrieked. Shut up, Naruto growled. Use that enormous forehead of yours and realize it's an earth scroll. Then try to make the connection we already have in Heaven 1. From there, you ought to be able to connect why I am asking if he can be moved. And you really should follow the noise protocol for when you are in enemy territory, or did you forget those rules already, Miss Top Scores? The girl rose to her feet and rushed him, intent to clobber him with her fists. As she swung, he caught her fist. Sakura swung with her other arm, which Naruto also caught. Using his strength, he pinned the girl against the wall. Listen up, Sakura, you are the weakest out of us. I saved you when Orochimaru knocked you and Sasuke out. I am trying to make sure we survive this exam. Now go secure your Sasuke-kun for transport while I figure out where that damn tower is. Understood? The girl nodded, frightened, realizing Naruto no longer was willing to play punching bag. Naruto released her, and marched out. Still simmering with anger, he quickly climbed to the top of one of the taller trees. Scanning the environment, he gave his thanks to Lady Luck for allowing him to spot the top of a building. Meaning during his wild flight from that Odo woman led him near the tower. As he re-entered the hideout, Sakura had properly bound Sasuke for transport, and without comment made 2 clones to haul him. The tower is 2 or 3 hours traveling from here. Let's go before it's completely dark. The girl nodded meekly, and followed him. Their transit towards the tower was uneventful. Naruto skillfully scouted ahead, and dodged an ambush from an ambitious team. This forced them to take a long route around them, however, and the night had properly set in now. Despite her forced nap earlier the day, Naruto saw Sakura was exhausted. And that tower is further away than I thought. Or I spend too much time making sure I am on the correct route. With Sasuke still knocked out, Naruto admitted he was forced to make camp. Finding a suitable hollow to hide in, he sent the girl off to sleep, ignoring his complaints about his lack of sense of direction and timing. You'd think saving her life would make her at least be grateful, Naruto thought as he and his clones finished up setting some basic traps. By the time his first shift was over, he saw the girl was still out cold, the Uchiha was stopped sweating and mumbling, and now lay silent, but at least the bastard is still alive. Near the end of the second shift, morning already approaching, he shook Sakura awake. The girl seemed on the verge of complaining, but a glare stopped her in her tracks. After a few silent words and where the traps were, Naruto finally lay down to sleep. Only to be rudely awakened by a kick into his side. Acting on instinct, he rolled sidewards before a second blow could land. Hastily scrambling to his feet, he was greeted by a maniacal Sasuke, who was laughing, clad in wisps of black chakra. "You're finally awake, Dobe, fight me." Sasuke cackled, charging forwards Naruto. Naruto would have stared wide-eyed at the Uchiha if he wasn't trying to beat him into a pulp. Instead he dived out of the way, avoiding the charge. "Stand still and taste my new powers, weakling." "Fight me," Sasuke demanded. Naruto was still trying to make sense what happened, and wondered where Sakura was. After leaping clear of the bull-headed Uchiha again, he saw the girl just stood there staring. "Sakura," he bellowed, getting her attention. "What the hell is going on?" The girl babbled something incoherently, causing Naruto to curse under his breath as he avoided another bull charge from Sasuke. "Stand still, you clan-less loser," Sasuke bellowed, starting to form hand seals. Knowing the Uchiha would do something involving fire, but unsure how the black chakra would interfere or boost the jutsu, Naruto quickly formed several shadow clones. Timing to the moment the Uchiha closed his eyes to belch up the fire, he jumped up, boosted further by the clones, launching him to the underside of a branch further up. He quickly clambers around it, making himself invisible for the Uchiha. Below him, he heard the Uchiha insane cackling, laughing his victory over Naruto. Naruto carefully edged towards the edge of the branch, peeking down below. "Sakura," the insane Uchiha shouted, the dark wisps of chakra moving more irritably by the second. "Where is the heaven scroll?" he demanded, shocking the girl out of her stupor. "Nah, Naruto." "Had both of them?" Sasuke raised his eyebrow. "Both of them?" "Doesn't matter, with this new power I will kill the competition easily." With that, he stomped off, not looking back to his female teammate. Before he got very far, however, he once again collapsed like a puppet without strings. Sensing the opportunity, Naruto leapt from his hiding place, landing near Sasuke, and started binding him up as a prisoner without further ado. "Naruto, you're alive!" Sakura shrieked as she recovered from Naruto's sudden appearance. "Sakura, pack the stuff we left in the hollow that isn't burnt to crisp." "But Sasuke-kun." She started to protest. "Move, Sakura." Naruto snapped. That idiot pumped his chakra into the air like there was no tomorrow, and to help the competition find us, he lit a nice house-sized fireball. With the girl out of sight, Naruto stopped his work on the Uchiha for a moment to check if he had all the scrolls. "If that bastard burnt the Uzumaki scroll, I am killing him," Naruto thought darkly. Naruto, however, did not have to commit murder, all scrolls still on his person. Their camping gear was not so lucky, however, all burned to crisp by the Uchiha overpowered fireball. "Alright, let's go," he ordered. Sakura weakly nodded, still overwhelmed by everything that happened. Naruto landed in front of the large doorway at the bottom of the tower. At least the last leg of the journey went without interruption, Naruto thought as the team entered the tower. They were, to their disappointment, greeted by a large empty room. At the far end of it, there was a riddle. Naruto shot an hopeful glance towards Sakura, hoping that her brain would be useful to the team for a change. "Sakura, you have an idea what we must do now?" he asked. And in return he got a headshake from the girl. He cast his mind back to when the instructions happened, wondering if he missed something important. "We have the heaven and earth scrolls. What does it mean with if you lack?" "Lack what?" Then he felt like slapping himself. "You are forbidden to open these scrolls until you reach the tower in the center of the forest. You can only proceed from there if you have both scrolls." Enko's voice echoed through his memories. He took both scrolls out of his jumpsuit. "Open it on my signal. On second thought, make sure you throw yours over mine." Sakura looked at him like he was crazy. "What do you mean, Naruto?" She caught herself as Naruto shot her a glare. "Just do it," he said coldly. Following his command, she threw her scroll over the one he laid out on the ground. And in a poof, Iruka stood before them. "Iruka sensei!" Naruto shouted, putting on his happy mask without thinking, causing Sakura to look at him strangely. "Naruto, it is good to see you are all right. Anko already informed us what happened. The Hokage will see you too soon." Naruto nodded. Sakura looked unsure but also nodded. After placing Sasuke in the medic's care, both genin were soon presented to the Hokage and a group of jonin, which included their fellow class members Sensei and the proctors of the exam. Naruto was both glad and unhappy Sakura was interviewed first. Now that he could properly sit down and center himself, he realized he failed to keep a check on his temper during the exam so far, and started to lash out. If she was bitter, she could spin a tale that would land in trouble. It didn't help he also had to quickly cook up a story on how he faced Orochimaru, or whoever that woman was. If memory served correctly, Orochimaru was a guy, so unless he was into cross-dressing that woman couldn't be Orochimaru. Sakura came out way too quickly for his tastes, but he understood. She was knocked out of the fight very quickly, and she entered the room, faced with plenty of faces holding barely concealed disdain. "Hey Gigi," Naruto spoke cheerfully. "Hello Naruto-kun," Hiruzen responded warmly, "can you tell us what happened in the forest?" "Sure Gigi, after we entered the forest, Sasuke took the lead. After a while we were attacked by this weird woman with a wind attack that knocked me into the tree. She wanted to." Naruto spun his tale, trying to stick as close as the truth as he could. But he was interrupted by his sensei. "Sakura said you seemed to recognize her." He spoke coldly. Naruto nodded vigorously. "Yeah, I met her the day before the exam started." He turned his face into a frown. "She convinced me to take the exams. I thought the team wasn't ready." His face turned worried. "She also said nearly the entire world knows about." "Well you know," he finished, patting the seal on his stomach. Naruto noted Hiruzen looked genuinely surprised at the last part, effectively making the assembled group forget the rest. Only Ibiki thought something was off. "That is worrisome news Naruto-kun. I shall find out if that is true." Hiruzen spoke kindly. "Now what did she want?" "She wanted to talk to me, at least she said that." Sasuke kept shouting and attacking. But she knocked him around without a worry Dadabayo. She then used a snake to bite him in the shoulder that gave him this weird mark with that dark chakra. Playing the suitable amount of emotions on his face, I threw a load of shadow clones at her and ran off with Sakura and Sasuke. I thought I had escaped. But she was suddenly on top of me. I barely avoided getting my head knocked off. Naruto put his best fearful look on his face. She also made a clone that went into the hideout I found. I was so afraid she would kill the Team Gigi, so I pulled on Kyuubi's chakra and went berserk on her. He looked down on the ground shamefully for using Kyuubi's chakra. I so should be getting award for this, Naruto thought in the back of his mind. "You did the best you could Naruto-kun," Hiruzen spoke encouragingly. "What happened next?" "I don't know Gigi," Naruto responded, still looking at the ground. "I woke up with that proctor lady interrogating me. She said I was knocked out by a seal. Afterwards I took Sakura and Sasuke towards the tower after I found out she left an earth scroll in my jumpsuit for some reason. We had to avoid a team so we couldn't make it before night set in." He looked up again, feigning worry. "After I spent most of the night standing guard, I woke up Sakura and let her take over. The next thing I know Sasuke is trying to kill me." Naruto displayed his finest horror face. And in the edge of his vision he saw Kakashi's disappointment. "Bastard, after he thought he killed, he fell over again, and I dragged him here." I see Naruto-kun. Now I need you to remember the best you can. Did that woman ever introduce herself as Orochimaru?" Naruto shook his head. "She called herself Kensaku Oto when I met her." Hiruzen sighed. Another dead end. Still my old student was interested in learning every jutsu, but the curse mark Anko saw did not look like anything she had. What is going on here? Why would this woman, or Orochimaru want the exams to continue? What is their game here? Dismissing the boy, he looked at the assembled group. What do you think? Anko spoke up first. Take the Uchiha out of the exams and keep him inside Konoha until we know what this new curse seal can do. Kakashi bristled. And ruin his chances to become Chunin? Anko shrugged. He can be promoted later if he is as good as you claim to be, although the kid stories say otherwise, she jabbed. Before a fight could break out in the tower office, taking him out of the exams could incur whatever wrath Orochimaru, or that woman has planned. Furthermore, the political fallout would be dangerous for his other teammate. And it would be bad for Konoha overall. Only Guy looked unhappy. Most of the other Jonin were rather uncaring if something happened to the Kyuubi boy. Hiruzen raised his hand to silence Anko. I know it's dangerous, Anko, but perhaps we can use the Uchiha to find out what Orochimaru wants, if it's really the Sharingan, or perhaps a foil for his true objective. Both Kakashi and Anko looked unhappy at that for different reasons, but nodded their assent. Now, I need some ideas how we can prepare for whatever Orochimaru can do. Hiruzen spoke, and the group started brainstorming. Naruto quickly made his way down the tower, intent to find a silent room where he could meditate. He needed to sort out his thoughts. He was happy Sakura didn't use the opportunity to complain about his actions. He really wanted to read the Uzumaki scroll, and he still needed to chat with his tenant about the Garagai. Speaking about the devil, he saw a mop of red hair came around the corner, and soon stood face to face with the stoic boy. Why does have the word love on his forehead? Naruto asked to himself. Can I help you? He asked cheerfully. Gaara just looked at him silently for a moment, before speaking. Our fight will be interesting, make me feel alive when we do. He turned around, leaving a confused and worried Naruto behind. Shaking off the disturbing experience, Naruto soon found an empty room. And started meditating. Deciding to contact the fox first, before the beast got grumpy for not being the top thing on his list, he drew ever so slightly on its chakra. Do not get hit by that seal again, the beast roared in his mind, clearly displeased by what happened. Its effects were most unpleasant for me, do not let it happen again, understood? Naruto could only nod dumbly, taking off balance by the sudden demand that did not involve setting it free or burning Konoha. As for the red-headed boy, I am certain he contains my youngest brother Ichibi. My brother is probably corrupting the boy. He was always a crazy one. Naruto felt like looking outside to see if the pigs were flying, because the Kyuubi spoke nearly fondly at the last part. A deep snort reminded him the beast could read his mind. Start reading those scrolls. I am interested in what the woman wants you to read and learn. Don't worry, I will keep the link open. Naruto showed his assent by fishing out the Uzumaki scroll. Learn about my clan's history first. Or my clan's bloodline? Naruto asked himself. Power is far more important than history. Naruto chuckled at the beast's predictable response. And unsealed the bloodline scroll. He saw several family lines, with the main line encircled in red. Does that mean I am a main branch member? The main branch solid chakra release nearly always expresses itself in the form of chains. The affinity and latent bloodlines the user has initially formed the shape of the chains. Users with an earth affinity will have rocky extrusions on their chains, users with a wind affinity will have chains with sharp edges, water affinity will result in teardrop-shaped extrusions with the chain being cold. While an fire affinity will result in a spiky chain which will be slightly warm. And I find out about my affinity as a bonus, sweet, Naruto thought to himself as a big smile made a way to his face. The main branch bloodline is active from birth, the general bloodline trademarks as long life and increased healing capacities will show. Drawing out the main branch chains for use is a progress of different training steps. Naruto spent the rest of the days mostly alone, both working on his bloodline, and reading his clan long and glorious history. How it thrived and grew during the bloody clan war era. How it absorbed different bloodline using clans into itself, effectively forming the first hidden village a decade before the Senju and Uchiha formed Konoha. How the Uzumaki clan aided them in this progress due their long-time partnership with the Senju clan. And of course the fall of Uzushiogakure during the Second Shinobi War. You're being led on, both by that woman and gray-haired boy. It was an hour before the second exam would end. A lot of teams made it through, including all the rookies, the team with Lee in it, the Sound team and to Naruto Happiness, Kabuto's team. Naruto also heard several senior ninja talk about preliminaries, so he suspected he was going to fight again soon. Naruto shook out of his meditation. "What do you mean with that?" he asked confused. A loud snort reverberated through his mind. First gray-haired boy tells you to keep an open mind. The next day a woman arrives who knows a lot about things hidden from you. And conveniently, the next day gray-haired boy confirms it. Then, the woman appears again, feeding you more information. I wonder how the gray-haired boy will back up what you know. Naruto could only cringe at the cold hard logic Kyuubi offered, and was once again reminded that behind the usual anger, was a cunning worthy of the legends that described it. Flattery won't impress me. Muttering about mind-reading foxes. Naruto refocused on his meditation. His thoughts were however plagued by Kyuubi's logic. Is Kabuto really my friend? Naruto wondered. Perhaps he is. Kyuubi spoke almost kindly. He certainly does not work for the monkey summoner. So these people, most likely from Oto, are trying to recruit me? Silence greeted him, the beast having had enough conversation for the day. Naruto realized mediating would not work with the subject on his mind, and hoped he could control his temper. Soon senior ninja started to gather the participants, guiding them to a large hexagonal room, one side of which held a massive statue depicting the ram hand seal. As the teams lined up, the Hokage, the proctors and the team's Jonin sensei showed up, the Oto sensei missing. Well done on surviving the second exam, Enko praised. The Hokage will now speak to you, so pay attention. Thank you Enko. Now before we start the next part, I will tell you about the true reason of these exams. True reason, the collective hopefuls asked themselves. Why would allies, those neutral to us, or even or enemies participate in these exams? The Hokage asked the group, and subsequently spun a tale about replacement of war, friendship and show of strength. This exam allows the villages to show their strength of their ninja. It only has meaning because you risk your life in it. The girl from Lee's team shouted, but if we die, how does that promote friendship? Fighting, and losing lives, feeling each other's strengths and respect. That is the friendship of the shinobi world. The Hokage answered. Naruto frowned at the statement. Deaths and losses will only lead to bitter feelings. Exhibit A, the resident last Uchiha. He thought to himself as he watched Sasuke, who stood stiffly. Remember, your village's prestige is on the line. Now, Hayate here will explain the next part. The Hokage spoke in a grandfatherly tone. The gestured man coughed. Hello everyone, I am Gecko Hayate. Because either the previous two parts were too easy, or you are a talented bunch, we have too many participants for the third part of the exam. To correct this, there will be one-on-one preliminaries. For those who do not feel ready, or are too wounded, you can leave now. This will not affect your teammates. Kabuto glanced at his sensei. A black-haired, pale woman with slitted blue eyes, who gave a slight nod. He raised his hand. I am not rested well enough for fighting. Hayate glanced down to his paperwork. Yakushi Kabuto correct? Hi, very well, you can leave now. Kabuto walked towards Naruto. Good luck Naruto-kun. Naruto just looked at him puzzled. Why are you quitting? You look fine. Kabuto smiled warmly. That's because I am a good medic, but I am in no state for fighting. Naruto frowned. You don't know until you try, he tried to encourage. Kabuto chuckled in response. I am glad you have faith in me Naruto-kun, but perhaps next time. And with that, he left the room. My work is done Kushina-sama, I see you at the invasion Naruto-kun. While the two were talking, the proctors discussed the only lever. This isn't the first time he quit before the last part of the exam, Hayate noted, as he saw Kabuto's information. This is the 7th time he quit. 7 times? What kind of record does he have? Enko asked. He didn't do much missions, but he works at the hospital. Still strange he isn't pushing himself further. Hayate responded with a shrug. I should talk to that young man. Ibiki note, and the other proctors shivered at the word talk. Anyone else? Hayate asked. Sasuke suddenly twitched in pain, his seal flaring, earning him a glare from Enko. Sakura stepped towards him, trying to convince him to quit, earning her a death glare from the Uchiha. Like Naruto said, don't make decisions for me, he growled at her. Hayate watched byplay. Seeing that the Uchiha would be staying, he decided to proceed. Since noone else is quitting, we will proceed. Everybody please head up to the balconies. The screen, he pointed to a large black screen, with the word versus boldly in the middle, that will tell you who your opponent is. He waited until all the people present made their way up. The rules are simple. You will on the position I indicate. And you are not allowed to use any techniques, grab any weapon until I give the signal. The fight will continue until one participant is knocked out, forfeits or killed. Or when I interfere to stop what I judge is a killing blow. Are there any questions? Silence greeted him, and Hayate signaled for the board to select the first opponents. Uchiha Sasuke from Konoha versus Akato Yoroi from Konoha. Before Sasuke could make his way down, Kakashi grabbed his shoulder and spoke in soft tones, if you lose control of the cursed seal, I will interfere. Sasuke grunted as a reply. Kakashi I smiled, now go and show them the might of the Uchiha clan. Are you sure you want to let him fight? Enko asked as Sasuke took his position, his opponent already waiting. Mama, Kakashi spoke, he'll be fine. Are you ready? Hayate asked, getting 2 nods in return. Begin, he shouted, leaping backwards to get clear. Sasuke tried a straight punch, which Yoroi caught and held on to. Trying to break free, Sasuke lashed out with his other hand which Yoroi also caught. Sasuke started to struggle to break free, feeling his chakra leave him. You are draining my chakra, he shouted. Yoroi merely grinned at him wickedly. I will not lose, Sasuke chanted in his mind, suddenly pulling hard, while aiming a low kick at Yoroi's shin. Unbalancing him, allowing Sasuke to break free. Sasuke panted as Yoroi slowly circled him, looking for an opening to drain the Uchiha dry. Yoroi lurched forward, Sasuke tried to dodge, but the masked man was too fast. In his panic, he ignored Kakashi's warning and dug into the power of the seal on his neck. The chakra was foul enough to make Yoroi recoil, giving Sasuke an opening for a furious taijutsu assault, slightly empowered by the small Kakashi. He is using the seal, Enko hissed. Mama, he has it under control, Kakashi responded unconcerned. Enko hissed, but knew she would be in trouble if she interfered. An grapple attempt from Yoroi forced the fighters away from each other. Both now panting heavily. It is nearly over. Asum commented to his team. Sasuke suddenly darted forward, dodging under the grabbing hand of Yoroi, kicking the man upwards. He jumped after him, and with a heel drop, while shouting, Lion combo. Sasuke kicked Yoroi into the unforgiving earth, knocking him out. Winner, Uchiha Sasuke by knockout. The public, damn, Kabuto's teammate nearly had him. Looked like it was Lee's move he used, must have used that copy eye of his. Naruto thought. Kakashi appeared next to Sasuke, well done Sasuke, now let's take care of the seal. Teleporting away with Sasuke in tow. So interested in the rest of the team hypocrite, who abandoned their teammates are lower than scum was it? Naruto mused. Meanwhile the board spun again, Abumi Zaku from Oto versus Aburame Shino from Konoha. Please make your way down, Hayate declared. Zaku leapt down, while Shino calmly walked his way down. Zaku used this opportunity to quickly stretch, while secretly double-checking his modifications. Left arm good, right arm good. This guy is going down, Zaku thought with a smirk. Shino stood impassively. Are you both ready? Heiei asked, then go. Zaku rushed forward, intent to defeat Shino with taijutsu. Shino released his insects, who slowly started to surround the fighting pair. You should surrender. You know why? Because you are surrounded by my insects. You wish I were. Spinning decapitation. Zaku exclaimed, quickly spinning around while releasing a high-power burst of air from his palms. Shino ducked under the cutting winds, but noted his insect allies were not so lucky. Digging into his insect army reserves, he ordered his insects to clog up the tubing of Zaku's modification. Shino shot forward to prevent another shot taken at him, and buying time for his insects to complete their task. After a short hand-to-hand fight, Shino leapt backwards. His insects informing him their task is complete. I have won, he declared confidently as a cloud of insects rose around him, swarming its way to Zaku. Zaku aimed his arms at Shino and the swarm, before raising an eyebrow, a twinge of chakra informing him what is wrong. I see, clogged my tubing knee, lowering his arms, he quickly made several hand seals most Konohanan recognized, ending in the Tora seal. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu. He exclaimed, belching a wall of fire. Shino leapt backwards, avoiding getting burned, but his insects were not quick enough. Zaku noticed he was getting low on chakra, but he bluffed his strength. Anything else you can do? He said cockily. Shino raised an eyebrow, before raising his arm, Proctor, I forfeit, you know why. My colony is nearly wiped out, winner by forfeit, Abumi Zaku. Zaku bowed to the crowd, before making his way up to his teammates who congratulated him on his win. Shino received praise from his own sensei for a well-fought fight. While Shino and Zaku had their match, Kakashi took Sasuke to an isolated room, prepared for sealing the boy's mark on his neck. He was nearly finished when he heard a soft kukuku behind him. Spinning around quickly, he stood face to face with Kushina, now disguised, her hair still black, her complexion ghostly white and her eyes turned yellow. Evil sealing method Kakashi. She spoke, imitating Orochimaru's tone. Is that all you can do? She mocked. Her inner seal master offended that Kakashi thought he could hold down the seal she made with such an inferior thing. Kakashi responded by charging up a Raikiri, which cackled dangerously in the silent room. The boy will be mine, and remember, don't even think about canceling the exams. Kukukuku. Her piece of misdirection complete, she quickly made her exit, before changing back to her Jonin sensei of Kabuto's team disguise. Returning just in time to see Zaku's victory. Well done Zaku, well done. She thought to herself, pleased how far the genin had grown. Misumi Tsurugi from Konoha versus Kankuro from Suna. Tsurugi strolled down towards his starting place like he owned the arena, while Kankuro walked rather stiffly. Ready? Heiei inquired, then fight. The moment Heiei shouted fight, Tsurugi shot forward, grappling Kankuro, causing him to drop the white bandaged package he was trying to unwrap. To the surprise of everybody present, instead of just using his arms and legs to bind Kankuro, Tsurugi's body twisted and wrapped himself around Kankuro, and he slowly started to rip Kankuro's arms out of his sockets. Give up, you cannot win. Tsurugi spoke cockily into Kankuro's ear. You would be right, if that was the real me, suddenly came from the package. Tsurugi's eyes shot open in confusion, and suddenly stood face to Senbon Launcher as the puppet's mouth opened wide, which promptly peppered his head with needles. Screaming, he flopped away, pulling out the needles from his forehead and nose. Damn you, he cursed, as he shakily rose. The real Kankura revealed itself from the package, and the fake one started to rise, revealing the wooden puppet underneath. Heh, I have already won, Kankura spoke confidently. What do you Mean, with Tsurugi slurred. Before he slumped forward. Winner by knockout, Kankuro. Now get a medic. He faced towards Kankuro. Is the poison lethal? Kankuro shook his head. He should wake up in a couple of hours. Heiei nodded his thanks. And signaled for the board to spin. Haruno Sakura from Konoha versus Yamanaka Ino from Konoha. Both girls made their way down. Are you girls ready? Heiei asked, getting 2 nods in return. Then. Start. That's a rather sorry excuse for a taijutsu fight, Naruto thought as he watched. Are they holding back? His thoughts were soon confirmed by a bold declaration from Sakura, telling Ino not to hold back. The fight heated up, and Ino used her hair to trap Sakura for his mind technique to work, only to be rejected by Sakura's mind. The girls resumed their hand-to-hand fight, ending with a double knockout. Heiei shook his head. Since both participants are knocked out, it's a draw, and neither will continue. The medics soon came in and carted both off. The board spun again. Tenten of Konoha versus Temari of Suna. Both girls made it to their place, ready to show them how real kunoichi fight. Tenten asked her opponent, who just snorted dismissively. Tenten frowned, feeling insulted. Heiei decided to start the match before the pre-match banter set it off. Ready? Then fight. He then had to jump backwards to avoid getting impaled by the multitude of sharp objects Tenten started to throw. Temari slightly opened her fan in response, and swung it once, sending the pointy objects away from her. Is that all? She asked mockingly. Tenten scowled, and opened a scroll, launching another wave towards Temari, who simply swung her fan again, deflecting the attack. That was your second chance, Temari mocked. Tenten's face started to display her anger, and she leapt into the air, unrolling 2 large scrolls, twin rising dragons, with multiple poofs of smoke. Weapons appeared for Tenten to throw. She launched the entire lexicon of weaponry towards Temari, who was forced to dodge and use quick wind attack with her fan to avoid impalement. The moment Tenten lost momentum, Temari fully opened her fan, and launched a cutting wind tornado, who caught Tenten midair, lifting her further, cutting her body in the 2 unfurled scrolls. Once the attack ended, Tenten was stunned, and slowly started to drop. Temari stood below her landing zone, placed her fan so that Tenten would break her back when she fell into it. Before that could happen, a green blur shot forward and caught the falling girl. Most unyouthful, Lee boomed. Winner by interference, Temari. Heiei shouted. Lee glared at the girl who tried to harm his teammate beyond the need of victory. But before he could launch himself at her, a firm hand landed on his shoulder. Turning around, he saw the stern face of his sensei, Mado Guy, shaking his head. A most youthful save, Lee, but do not avenge your teammate. That would lead to an unyouthful disqualification, Guy Sensei, Lee responded, sparkles in his eyes from his teacher's wisdom. Now Lee, hand Tenten to those youthful medics. The said medics blanched, and wait for your match for an explosion of youth. Hi Guy Sensei. The more veteran Konoha ninjas sighed in relief that there was no youthful hugs involved. Not ready for the genjutsu that comes with it. The board meanwhile spun on uncaringly. Nara Shikamaru from Konoha versus Tsuchi-kin. I am fighting a girl, so troublesome, Shikamaru complained as he made his way down, getting a few encouraging words from Asuma on the way. Kin meanwhile received her own encouraging words from her teammates. Both soon stood facing each other. Are you ready? Heiei asked both of them. Shikamaru yawned his assent, while a "hi" came from Kin. Well then, fight. Kin jumped backwards, launching multiple senbon, forcing Shikamaru to dodge. Her second wave of senbon jingled, and flew wide. Raising an eyebrows from Shikamaru, who below his lazy exterior, had his mind in overdrive, trying to figure out her tactics, preferably without becoming a porcupine in the process. His hand dived into his kunai pouch, and returned fire while dodging the third. A sharp pain in his thigh informed him he was not successful. Before he could throw his second kunai, he suddenly heard jingling, and lost his sense of balance. Poison? No. Genjutsu. Shikamaru thought, biting his lower lip to break him free, just in time to roll away. He felt something snap against his body, and heard a single jingle. Snap. Wire, connected to bell. Genjutsu timed through the sound of the bells, he thought, now effortlessly countering the next genjutsu attack with his chakra. Wire casts shadow. A smile would have made its way on the boy's face if he wasn't lazy. He quickly sank onto his knees, forming his hands into the proper seal. His unexpected movement caused Kin's next wave of senbon go over him, who was getting irritated her genjutsu wasn't taking hold, before she suddenly froze up. A faint smirk managed to make its way on Shikamaru's face, who saw Kin had her hand full with senbon. Forced to mimic Shikamaru, who moved his hand that the senbon threatened to pierce Kin's throat. Forfeit, he drawled lazily. Kin grimaced. I forfeit, she responded. Winner by forfeit, Nara Shikamaru. Shikamaru released his jutsu, and Kin slumped in defeat. However, an approving nod from the disguised Kushina rose her spirits, and she quickly made her way back to her team, who offered words of consolation while Shikamaru received praise. Naruto felt obliged to send an approving nod to Shikamaru. He saw the pencil-thin shadow move along the shadows of the wires. Realizing slightly after Shikamaru how the Oto girl jingled the bells, the board spun, and Naruto saw his own name. Uzumaki Naruto from Konoha vs Inuzuka Kiba from Konoha. Yahoo! We got an easy win. Kiba laughed. Naruto kept his face impassive, but inwardly, revenge will be so sweet. Naruto thought, almost bloodthirsty, without Mizuki to get on my case whenever I win back at the academy, I can finally get some payback. Ready to lose, you clan-less loser. Akamaru stand to the side, I don't need your help for this. Naruto ignored him, waiting on Hayate to start the match. Pay attention, you failure of a ninja, Kiba demanded. Naruto just looked at Kiba bored, further riling up the boy. Show him what you can do. Naruken, Kushina cheered in her mind. Beat that fox boy to pulp. Kiba, Kurinai thought, echoing the thoughts of several jonin present. Seeing the banter wasn't going anywhere. Are you ready, boys? Both of them nodded. Then, fight. I'll finish this in one move. Passing Fong, Kiba shouted, rapidly spinning, turning into a gray razor-sharp corkscrew that spun its way towards Naruto. Passing Fong, huh? Naruto thought, his mind in overdrive as Kiba spun closer. I can see you aim at my side, and your head is exposed. Naruto quickly stepped so Kiba would hit in dead center, anchored himself to the ground with chakra, and cocked back right fist. You know the technique, but you haven't mastered it. You are wide open. Timing it just right, he plunged his right fist into the eye of the storm, raking the right side of Kiba's head hard as Kiba spun into his fist. Kiba's attack lost its spin rapidly. Naruto weakened his hold on the ground and allowed him to be pushed back by Kiba's momentum, his right fist hurting badly as it kept knocking into Kiba's spinning head, under pressure from holding the attacking dog boy back. Judging Kiba lost enough spin, his left fist thundered into an uppercut, flying past the spinning clawed hands and hitting Kiba's chest just under his neck, before bouncing upward and hitting his jaw. Kiba's vector was redirected upward, slowly raising into the sky. Naruto spiked his chakra to his feet, launching himself upward, something he learned during the tree climbing exercise. He misjudged, however, and used too much chakra, missing the chance to use his fists, but settled for a devastating kick to Kiba's midriff, knocking him away, landing roughly halfway the other side of the arena while Naruto landed clumsily, unbalanced by the rough aerial kick. Damn you, Kiba cursed, groggily raising to his feet while Naruto regained his balance. Akamaru, let's go, he ordered, tossing a pill for the dog to eat. Naruto was too far away to stop it. He tossed a kunai to try to keep the dog off balance, but the dog handily dodged it, crunching down on the pill while it did. The dog's fur turned red. Beast human clone. Akamaru poofed into Kiba. Naruto grinned, you want clones? You get clones, Kage Bunshin. A small legion of clones appeared around Naruto, who bull rushed the pair of Kibas. Despite the pain Naruto managed to inflict with his combo, Kiba kept up his best, fighting through the mass with bestial efficiency, yet for every 2 clones he dispelled, he took a hit. I am going to lose against that loser at this rate, where is the real one? Kiba thought, trying to use his nose as the clones were without smell. After a couple of frantic seconds, he found the real Naruto, standing at the back of his homemade horde. Follow me Akamaru, he shouted, leaping into the air towards Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. Kiba managed to find him. But then smirked, by jumping, Kiba left himself open. A counterplan formed in his mind. And he quickly made a couple of clones. Both of them aimed their bodies at Akiba, before supercharging the chakra output at their feet. With a double loud bang, leaving a small crater at their launch site, both clones rocketed towards the Kibas, knocking into them bodily before dispersing by the pressure of the impact. Knocked out of balance, direction and blinded by the smoke. Both Kiba and the transformed Akamaru landed roughly near Naruto, who hopped back. His horde of clones descending upon the pair like a pack of raptors. Before Naruto's clones could properly start the beating. Heiei interrupted, winner by interference. Uzumaki Naruto, surprised by the suddenly declaration, quickly dispelled his clones before it was used to disqualify him. A small true smile made his way on his face when he realized he had a measure of payback for all the crap Kiba gave him. And that he earned a genuine chance to be promoted. Well done Naruken, Kushina thought, impressed how Naruto controlled the fight with well-timed taijutsu and a single jutsu, showing another inventive way to use the shadow clone technique. Most of the remaining public was less happy, realizing the unpopular boy might actually make the promotion. With Oto and Suna both having participants, they would also be sending their judges. And if the Konoha ones would judge him unfairly, that would attract attention they did not want to have. Ignoring the inner turmoil of the room, the board spun uncaringly forward. While the medics carted off a cursing Kiba. Hyuga Niji from Konoha versus Hyuga Hinata from Konoha. Naruto saw the anger in Niji's eyes, and realized he would vent that on Hinata. Worried, but aware he could not do anything, he watched helplessly as Heiei started the match, and Niji started assaulted Hinata with words, targeting her fears and self-confidence. Naruto gritted his teeth as he saw the girl's confidence falter. Then, she glanced at him, and Naruto responded by flashing her a big grin, and a thumbs up hidden from the rest of the room. It seemed to work. The girl gathered herself and told her cousin to fight. And fight they did. A rapid clash of finger pokes, palm strikes and other gentle fist attacks clashed back and forth. Initially Hinata seemed to keep up, but Niji's experience won in the end. Slowly closing her tenkatsu in her arm, while redirecting the girl's counter-strikes to non-vital places. With a powerful blow to the chest, Niji knocked Hinata to the ground. Yet Hinata stubbornly refused to stay down. Much to Niji's ire. The second round of fighting was clearly in Niji's favor, the damage the girl had taken slowing her down too much. Throwing her back on the ground, "It is you who is hurt Nejinizan," Hinata spoke softly after the match ended in Niji's favor. Standing back on her feet despite the beating she took. Niji's eyes conveyed untold anger, and he rushed forward to finish her off. Stopped inches away from dealing a death blow by the proctor and the 3 instructors. More protection for the main family. Niji raged. Heiei shook his head, "Protecting you from disqualifying yourself and murder charges Hyuga, now get back up the balconies." Niji stomped off, while Hinata was taken away by the medics. Naruto dearly wanted to leap off the balcony, draw upon Kyuubi's power and slaughter the bastard for hurting his family member who cared for him. He was certain whatever issue he had with the main branch family. Hinata wasn't a part of it, she was far too kind for that. A growl at the back of his mind warned him he was drawing on his tenant's chakra, and he stepped back, reining in his anger. Thankfully the rest did not notice his loss of control, and watched as the board spun again. Rock Lee of Konoha vs Gaara from Suna. Gaara teleported down in a swirl of sand, looking bored. Lee meanwhile unleashed a loud yash as he hopped down, brimming with excitement. "Are you two ready?" "Hi." A certain green-clad genin boomed. Gaara merely nodded. "Then fight." Hey-8 yelled, leaping backwards not to get caught in the storm of youth he just unleashed. Lee shot forward, aiming a flying kick at Gaara's face. To nearly everyone's surprise, sand suddenly sprang from the gourd, blocking the kick. Jumping off, Lee blurred to Gaara's side, aiming a straight punch, yet once again the sand interfered. Gaara looked bored at Lee. "Is that all?" Before aiming his arm at Lee, "Suna Senbon," he intoned calmly as more sand poured out of the gourd, forming Senbon the size of his forearm, before they launched rapidly at Lee. Lee ducked and weaved beneath the attack, hoping Gaara spend all his sand on the attack. He launched forward, but the sand thwarted him again. Lee was forced away from Gaara by another barrage of sand. Senbon, Guy, seeing his minimi wasn't making any progress, shouted, "Lee, take them off." Lee looked surprised, as he hopped to the top of the statue, standing on top of the finger. "I thought I could only take them off to protect those dear to me," Lee shouted back, ducking to avoid getting his head taken off by another supersized needle of sand. "I allow it," Guy simply boomed back. "Hi Guy Sensei," Lee shouted energetically. He quickly ducked down again, removing his leg weight, holding them up, he dropped them. Some of the watchers made fun of the weights. Gaara merely watched, wondering if the fight would become more interesting. When the weights landed, making a large crater, a giant dust cloud and a worthy boom. He smiled, knowing it just got better. As Lee shot forward again, many times quicker than before, actually bypassing Gaara's mobile sand defense, and showing Gaara wore a sand armor over his skin as he landed his blows, cracking the armor. Naruto could only watch with awe, impressed by what a dedicated student could do taught by a proper teacher. Gaara started moving around, making it harder for Lee to hit him and riding the blows that came through his defense to reduce the damage. Having uncrossed his arms, he actually looked like he was fighting now. A maniac grin made its way on his face. "Yes, make me feel alive," he shouted, and he ordered his sand to envelop Lee. Temari could only shake her head. It was roughly a month ago when Kushina changed Gaara's seal and had a heart-to-heart talk with Gaara. She did this after she defeating him in battle. Afterwards her brother actually apologized to her and Kankuro for what he had done. Her baby brother learning the voice in his head was actually a murderous chakra being. She wasn't sure what she wanted from her now sort-of sane brother. But at least the "make me feel alive while fighting you" Gaara beat the "shut up or I murder you" Gaara hands down. As an added bonus, ever since Kushina had her talk with her father, the man actually seemed to deadha a bit, trying to reconnect with his estranged children. Temari welcomed the change with open arms, always wishing she could keep her family together like her mother did before she died to seal a chibi in her brother. Kankuro kept his distance, like a true puppeteer, and he watched what happened without interfering personally. Gaara rejected all attempts at reproach. Bitter over what happened, but at least he stopped trying to murder the man. A loud yash shook her out of her thoughts, and saw the green spandex boy wrap Gaara in his bandages midair, having launched Gaara upwards with a devastating kick after breaking out of the sand envelopment. Both boys started rapidly spinning to the ground, front lotus, actually worrying Temari Gaara might get hurt. A loud boom and an enormous dust cloud hit both, before suddenly a green blur slammed into the wall. And a maniac laughter emerged from the cloud. As the dust settled, it showed Gaara with a maniac grin. "Yes, make me feel alive." Lee dug himself out of the wall, standing groggily. He perked up when his sensei shouted, "Lee, the lotus of the leaf blooms twice." Lee responded with an loud "Heizensai." Guy pointedly ignored the horrified look the Konoha Jonin sensei shot him. Lee took a wide stance. Gaara just stepped back and watched, interested in what kind of power-up his opponent would make this time. Kaimon Ka, Kyumon Kaa, Simon Kai. Lee chanted. At each Kai, more energy started to spark around him, his skin turning red. With the final Kai, Gaara would be wearing a Chessmeyer smile if he could. His blood boiling with anticipation. He would be disappointed, however. The green-clad boy turned into a blur, rapidly striking him multiple times. His sand armor chipped away with each powerful blow, his sand defense far too slow to keep up. His sand was blasted all over the arena by the power of the green-clad boy. Gaara suddenly felt himself kicked upwards. Even as he flew up, more blows landed on him. There suddenly was a pause. Acting on instinct, realizing the final blow was coming, his gourd disintegrated, forming a shell around him just as Lee hit, pounding him into the ground. Obscuring his form by the big dust cloud that sprung up from the impact. Most Konoha genin cheered at the apparent victory of their fellow genin. But stopped when they heard a pained "no" from Guy. As Lee landed, he was suddenly slapped into the wall by a thick tendril of sand. Knocking the boy out. "Yes, you made me feel alive, we must fight again," the insane boy demanded from the unconscious Lee. Hay-8 quickly darted forward, checking Lee's vitals. "Winner by knockout, Gaara." Temari sighed in relief, glad her brother made it. Kankuro smiled as Gaara appeared beside him. "Well done, Gaara, you made us worry." Gaara blinked in surprise. "I am sorry, I did not intend to." He spoke silently. Temari felt like slapping Kankuro. "He is trying, damn it. Don't be Gaara, you are safe, that is what matters." She quickly gave him a short hug to reinforce the message. Kushina smiled at the interplay between the siblings, happy she managed to teach the bull-headed Kazekage he tore apart his own family with what he was doing and had done, losing the only thing he had beside his village. Naruto felt both awe and worry. He knew he was stronger with Kyuubi's chakra, but as the woman in the forest had shown, it did not make him invincible, and the power both displayed made him realize how far behind he was. The last two participants knew they were up, but they had to wait until the worst of the damage was repaired with some earth jutsu. Lee. Having made multiple craters into the floor and wall. During this, Kakashi returned with an exhausted Sasuke. Well, that is proof why Sasuke never responded to his horde of fangirls. Naruto joked to himself. It also shows that Kakashi truly bends over for the Uchiha clan. Kakashi shot Naruto a glare when he heard he won his match. "Damn you! Couldn't you just die already and leave us in peace?" Kakashi complained in his mind, before distracting himself from his unwanted student with his orange book. Akimichi Choji from Konoha vs Kinyuta Dosu from Oto, Hay-8 announced as soon the arena was repaired. Choji looked reluctant, but was promised barbecue if he won. Meanwhile, the heavily bandaged Oto genin waited patiently for Choji to come down. "Are you two ready?" Both boys gave him a nod. "Very well, the last match, fight." "Barbecue!" Choji shouted as a war cry, rapidly expanding in size. Hay-8, knowing what an Akimichi could do, rapidly bailed out. Dosu didn't, and his lone visible eye widened in horror as a giant Choji bore down on him. Snapping out of his surprised stupor, Dosu quickly jumped aside, avoiding becoming a human pancake. Choji made a surprisingly sharp turn for his bulk, forcing Dosu to rapidly evade again. This time, Dosu managed to create some distance, trying to figure a way to hit the enlarged boy's head. Who reamed himself, and spun into gear for another charge. This happened several times, each time Dosu attempted to hit Choji, and Choji trying to squash Dosu. Suddenly, Choji changed tactics, adding a spin to his roll, making him a giant curveball, trying to capitalize on Dosu's tendency to jump to his right. It failed, however. Dosu could dodge on time, and managed to swipe out Choji's head. The melody arm Dosu used completely disorientating and nauseating the boy. Thinking victory was his, Dosu stopped to catch him breath, trying to control his rapid beating heart from surviving multiple attempts of getting the said organ squashed out of him, and completely failing to notice how the disorientated Choji kept rolling around, making a slow lazy turn before approaching him from behind, knocking him over and crushing his legs. Dosu's loud cry of pain was too much for Choji's head, and with a low groan he returned to his normal size, laying on his back whining to himself. Heiei waited, hoping Choji would recover, since Dosu's crushed legs would prevent him from standing up. Sadly, after a minute it was clear Choji was incapacitated. Since both fighters cannot continue, it's a draw, he declared, and soon the medics came in, carting both boys to the hospital. After the arena was cleared out, Heiei appeared in the middle of it. If all remaining participants could line up here, he ordered. They did so, and were soon presented with a box. Each of you will draw a number from this box, this will decide your lineup. Niji went first, 2, he declared. 3 inch from Gaara, 8, Temari declared. 6. Kankuro added. 1 from Naruto, who smiled inwardly he could get some payback for Hinata. 4 Sasuke said, seizing up Gaara, having missed the fight. 7 Troublesome, a lazy Nara complained. 5 from Zaku. Heiei quickly wrote down the numbers. The third exam matchups will be this. The first match is Uzumaki Naruto against Hyuga Niji. The second match is Gaara of Suna against Uchiha Sasuke. The third match is Abumi Zaku vs Kankuro of Suna. The fourth match is Nara Shikamaru vs Temari of Suna. From there it's logical what would happen next. These fights will happen a month from now. Taking in the quizzled glances from the Chunin hopefuls, he chuckled, this will give Konoha time to prepare for the event, as many foreign dignitaries will come to watch. Are there any questions? Shikamaru spoke up, will only the winner become Chunin? It would be so troublesome to win. Good question, Heiei admitted. No, each fight will be judged by the present Kages, and a high-ranking member from the villages who attends. That means for the coming exams, there are 6 judges you need to impress. Winning gives you another chance to impress the judges. Naruto smiled inwardly. Despite lying to him often, the old monkey was at least fair to him, meaning at worst only one judge could truly be against him. Any more questions? A silence responded him. Very well, we will see you all next month. Take a good look at your opponent, and prepare well. Good luck. Naruto glanced at Niji, before walking towards Sasuke and Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto spoke with fake cheer. How will you be training us the coming month? Honestly, Naruto already had a good suspicion what the answer to that would be. Kakashi I smiled at Naruto. Sorry Naruto, I will be training Sasuke here. Good luck, and with that, he poofed away with Sasuke in tow. Baki, the Suna Jonin sensei looked surprised at the blatant favoritism, and how only guys seemed to be disturbed by it from the Konoha teams. Kushina would have sighed, if she didn't have to keep her disguise on. Well, what do you expect from a student from that man, she thought. Before she could consider approaching the boy in her current disguise, Guy marched over towards Naruto. A most unyouthful action from my usually youthful comrade. As Niji will be training with his clan, and with Lee and Tenten in the hospital, allow my youthful self to train you until they recovered. Naruto blinked in surprise. Not expecting a Jonin to offer him help. A smile made his way to his face. Thank you very much Gai-sensei, when and where do we meet? Meet me tomorrow at the West Gate at 5 in the morning, we will start with a most youthful sprint around the village. Guy boomed. Alright, thank you again. I see you then sensei, Naruto replied with equal vigor. Not noticing the death glare Kushina was shooting Guy in her disguise. If you dare to corrupt my son Guy, I will murder you, revive you, and then torture you, before murdering you again. She thought dangerously. 1 week after the preliminaries, Hidden Lab Kabuto entered the dark lab, where Kushina was fussing over a cooling corpse. Kushina-sama, he spoke softly, I have the test results. Kushina turned to face him, and Kabuto-kun, she asked, no warmth in her voice. He is indeed your son, Kabuto spoke quickly, and relaxed when a big smile made its way on Kushina's face. Emboldened he asked, why did you have me to test it, Kushina-sama? Kushina sighed, Kabuto-kun, the Sandaime is a bigger snake Orochimaru could ever be. And then there is Danzo. Kushina scowled, sometimes the two of those could be the same, if either of them thought my son's heritage was too troublesome, as Nara's put it, they could transfer the Kyuubi to another blonde kid and have Naruken killed. But it doesn't matter now, Kushina chirped, gloomy atmosphere disappearing. He is really my son, so I should talk to him again soon. Kabuto could only shake his head at his master's antics. On other news, the preparations with Suna are going according to plan. Era, how is Garaken doing? Kushina asked. He is doing better now, he longer hears Shikaku since you improved his seal, Kushina-sama. He picked up a taste for fighting, however. You flatter me, Kabuto-kun, that is good to hear. I saw his battle lust during the preliminaries, perhaps when he is older he will appreciate life beyond fighting. My boy turned out rather well despite what happened to him. Kushina mused. 1 week after the preliminaries, Hokage office, Jiraiya-kun, I am glad you could make it. Hiruzen spoke warmly as his student entered the office. Hey sensei, I came as soon the toads informed me you wanted to see me. Jiraiya, the toad Sannin responded. Yes Jiraiya, we have reason to believe Orochimaru is after the Sharingan. And will return later to the village to exact his revenge. Jiraiya ran his hand through his long white hair. I see, so you want me to train the Uchiha kid? Hiruzen shook his head, no, Kakashi has that handled. Jiraiya sighed in relief. But perhaps you want to train Naruto-kun? Hiruzen asked. Jiraiya looked puzzled. Naruto. Who is he? The man asked. Hiruzen looked at Jiraiya like he sprung a second head. Naruto, Minato's and Kushina's kid. Yeah, what about it, the kid? He is your godson. Hiruzen exclaimed, shocked Jiraiya had forgotten. The man seemed so pleased when the pair informed him. So what? Jiraiya asked, his interest in the conversation gone. Hiruzen looked flabbergasted at Jiraiya, before a hint of annoyance set in. Before he could speak, however. Just because he is my godson, doesn't mean I need to care about him, Jiraiya spoke, being a godparent means looking after your godchildren if the parents can't, Hiruzen thought, but before he could voice it, Jiraiya went on, the only thing I care about Tsunade's boobs, my research for my books, and my secret wish that Orochimaru was a woman. What? Hiruzen blurted out, surprised and disturbed by that wish. Think about it sensei, Jiraiya started, a lecherous grin on his face. Orochimaru was so flexible, think about all the poses he could do as woman. And then all the things he could do with his snakes. He finished with a perverted chuckle. Hiruzen, god of shinobi, was truly speechless as his perverted, apparently mentally disturbed, student ranted on about his former teammate being a female. Jiraiya, Hiruzen interrupted, just stay in the village until the Chunin exams are over, understood? Sure sensei, Jiraiya replied, before leaping out of the window. So deeply disturbed by Jiraiya's secret desirers, Hiruzen forgot to assign somebody else to train Naruto and keep an eye on him, in case Orochimaru approached him again. 2 weeks after the preliminaries, training field 18 Naruto puffed, trying to catch his breath. Now he understood how the hell Lee could be so fast. The first thing Guy did at the crack of dawn was slapping weights on Naruto's legs. Afterwards ordering him to run around the village, constantly motivated by the booming man. I declined wearing that green spandex, however, he thought to himself, shuddering, imagining himself in the said outfit. Alright young Naruto, let us do 100 youthful push-ups. Naruto would have groaned, if he hadn't learned that would result in more youthful exercises. Despite the man's dubious sanity, Naruto would be the first to admit the man knew his stuff. Naruto's taijutsu was mostly imitated what he saw from other classmates, seeing that the instructors preferred to give him improper instructions. Guy quickly saw this, and moved in to correct this where possible. Naruto had hoped he would teach him the basics of Goken, but Guy had explained that was a dojo style, and he was not planning to take another apprentice. Although disappointed, Naruto understood and respected the reason. Happy he was not denied because of the fox like many others did. After each morning torture, which Guy insisted was training, Naruto spent the afternoon working on his clan's bloodline. The days before the preliminaries happened, Naruto managed to manifest a solid blob of chakra. A week after his own, very rough chain formed. He was puzzled by its shape however, like described, it had two edges, indicating wind chakra. Yet also blunt spikes formed, sometimes with some kind of oval shape on top of it, sometimes else the spikes had other blunt spikes sprout from them. Nevertheless, at the end of the second week, he had managed to smooth out the chain, only preserving the edges of his wind element. After a rather strenuous morning, Naruto was once again hidden in the forest, practicing his bloodline chains. He had learned after experimenting that the chains formed the easiest on the palms of his hands, and oddly enough, the center of his back. At other places, it took a couple of seconds for the chain to form, and even then it would grow many times slower. He launched another chain at the tree, pushing and shaping his chakra as quickly as he could. The chain shot across the clearing, embedding itself into with a quick pull, it shot free, and Naruto rotated on the spot, slashing multiple trees with the chain's edge before it broke apart in a golden glow. An edged chain, how rare. Of course wind element users are rare themselves. Naruto jumped to the center of the clearing, forming multiple shadow clones on the way to guard his back. So jumpy, the red-headed woman called out as she calmly appeared from behind a tree. Quite impressive considering I gave you the scroll 3 weeks ago. Despite the situation, Naruto couldn't help but blush under the praise. He did resist the urge to rub the back of his head however, keeping his defensive pose. She chuckled, now I believe I promised to tell you about your mother back at the Forest of Death. Naruto stiffened. The woman threw a scroll. Naruto tapped one of his clones to get it, who carefully unfurled it. When it didn't explode in his face, he handed it Naruto, who tried to read it while keeping an eye on the woman. A basic biography, he quickly noted. Looking further, he soon saw a picture of a bright red-headed woman with blue eyes with black pupils that had a slit in them. Naruto blinked, looked up, and could help but to compare. Surprised, he blurted out, "You are Uzumaki Kushina?" "Yes, I am," she spoke seriously, her playful demeanor gone. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Why lead me on? I had to make sure you were my son." She replied bluntly, "What?" Her voice grew agitated. "How close are you to Hiruzen?" Confused by the counter-question, he was silent for a moment, considering if he should be honest, or reply with the answer anybody from Konoha would expect. "Well, she isn't from Konoha. And I want to know." "Not close at all," he lied to me my entire life by the looks of it. She smiled, the agitation seeping out of her. "That's good to hear. I had to make sure, I was afraid he would have killed you soon after the sealing, placing the Kyuubi in another child because of your origins." She rushed out. "Origins? Your lovable father is the 4th Hokage," she bluntly threw at him. Naruto gaped, the same guy that ruined his life was his own father. Taking his silence to continue, she started, "The night you were born, unmasked." Naruto recovered and held up his hand. "I know what happened that night, Kyuubi told me." Kushina blinked, not expecting that. "You talk to it?" "Him, yes I do, it's the reason I can use his chakra that well since nobody trained me." Now it was Kushina's turn to gape, never expecting her boy to make some sort of peace with the hateful furball she had carried. "So why did he seal Kyuubi in me, why not back into you?" he asked, now knowing his mother was present during the sealing. And had contained the Kyuubi before. He wished he hadn't asked the question, tears sprung to her face as painful memories resurfaced. "I wanted to do that, Databane. But that man insisted Konoha needed a weapon. If the fox was sealed back into me, we both would have died. Not wanted to hurt his apparent mother, he tried to ask his next question more carefully. So, who or what made you leave? Her face turned angry, tears still flowing. The one-eyed bastard Danzo did. Moments after the sealing, he and his private little army appeared. Knocking me out and dragging me off. Hiruzen or somebody loyal to him must have been close, since you are not an emotionless puppet. What happened afterwards? Naruto asked quietly. A month afterwards, Danzo sold me like cattle to Orochimaru. Orochimaru tried to use the Uzumaki vitality to save his life, but when he found out he couldn't, he made me his successor instead to conserve his legacy. Before Naruto could ask the question, she went on, I tried to get you earlier, but I was foiled by the ANBU guarding you. Later you were too wary to go with my agents. Or I was betrayed like Mizuki did. Naruto blinked. Mizuki worked for you? She nodded. The change of subject allowed her to regain her calm composure. Yes, his orders were when you failed the exam to fool you into thinking you could do an extra test outside the forest. From there he would take you to Oto. That night the gate guards worked for me. That's why you could get so far unnoticed, because they were under orders not to inform anybody of you leaving. I see, he replied dumbly. Memories of instances of strangers subtly or not so subtly trying to get him to leave Konoha. His own distrust and fear of the consequences holding him back. After a moment of remembrance while the woman no. My mother watched on silently. So. What now? Now, you stand there while I hug the stuffing out of you, Naruken, Kushina thought, but she said, now Naruto, you make a choice. A storm is coming, will you stand with me, or with Konoha? Naruto wanted to leap up and shout, yes, I will stand with you. But logic told him not to make such a decision lightly. Can I think about it? He asked instead. The crestfallen expression hurt his heart, but he steeled it. Betraying your home, how much you hate it, had dire consequences. 3 days, I will look for you in 3 days. She responded. Thank you, he replied, but she already had disappeared. Alone in the clearing, he sat down. Trying to process the new information after reading the scroll she had handed to him. His mind whirling, he decided to ask the inner fox, hoping the beast had a convincing argument either way. Channeling some of the beast's chakra, the beast replied the moment the link was established. She is strong and will keep you safe, until you are strong enough to keep yourself safe. Naruto sighed, I should have seen that one coming. He braced himself for an acidic reply from the fox, but it stayed silent. I could ask Kabuto, but if Kyubi is right, he is with the woman, I can't talk with Hinata about betraying the village. Naruto thought, pinching the bridge of his nose. Although those same people are the only thing I care about in this village. And one of them is most likely on Mom's side. Naruto thought, unknowingly starting to refer the woman as his mother. Despite Kabuto's bias, he still decided to seek him out. However, he was disappointed. Naruto saw that he was supposed to be on duty, but couldn't find the man to his disappointment, and he retired for the night. He did quickly visit Hinata, but she was asleep, the wounds Neji inflicted taking a heavy toll on the girl. It strengthened Naruto's desire to turn the boy into pulp. Kushina felt like crying after Naruto asked for time. She was certain the boy would leap at her, and they both would hug each other until deep in the night. Where then Kushina could haul her boy to a close-by hideout and spend the night snuggling with each other, making up for 13 years of lost time. But instead, her boy kept this distance. She felt like running to Suna, where Kabuto was currently coordinating Oto's forces. Wrangle him for not properly preparing her son to face her. But she knew that would be unfair, and he was competent worker, killing him would be wasteful and too much of Orochimaru's style. It's going to be a stressful 3 days, Databane, she muttered, trying to let sleep claim her. The next day Naruto learned from Guy that although he was welcome to join the morning warming up, Lee and Tenten had recovered, and he would return to training them. Despite his disappointment, Naruto thanked the man for his help. After his last morning torture, he once again tried to find Kabuto. Yet failed to so. Left on his own devices. He logically tried to weigh all his options. The more I think about it, the more I wonder why I didn't just say yes. Naruto mused as he watched out of his ratty apparent window. So why didn't I? Naruto asked himself. Thinking more, he realized he was afraid. Afraid to come up short and die before being free, or hauled back and turned into some kind of puppet for those old people. Before he could examine his fears further, somebody knocked on his front door. He walked over, looking through the spyglass. Right into the scarred face of Ibiki. For a moment fear overtook him, thinking the woman claiming to be his mother sold him out, before calming down. If that was the case, he'd be dog-piled by Anbu by now. He opened the door. Good afternoon, he spoke neutrally, doing his utmost to keep his poker face on. Ibiki looked at the blond boy before him. It was clear the boy was nervous about something. He hoped the boy was just nervous facing the head of the TNI. But deep down he suspected it was more. Good evening, Uzumaki-san, can I ask you a few questions? Of course, come in. Naruto replied neutrally. Without further comment, Ibiki marched into the apartment, noting with some distaste it was not really habitable, the boy. Merely making the best of it. He quickly picked a spot to stand, taking command of the conversation by gesturing the boy where to sit. Leaning against the wall, he made sure he did not stand confrontational. You are friends with Yakushi Kabuto, correct? Naruto nodded. For how long? Naruto paused, thinking over the question. 6 or 7 years. That is a long time, then surely you know where usually could be found. They're also looking for Kabuto? Naruto asked himself. Yeah, I know his shifts by heart, but I couldn't find him the past 2 days. Naruto replied honestly. An inquiring eyebrow shot up. Why are you looking for him? I said too much. Naruto cursed to himself. I was looking for advice about the Hyuga fighting style. Naruto lied. Ibiki sensed that Naruto was lying by the hesitation, but couldn't find why he would be lying. His knee-jerk reaction would be that it was related to the entire Orochimaru fiasco. But his own research proved Kabuto rarely left the village, on missions or otherwise. So it was unlikely Kabuto was an agent of Orochimaru. Changing tack. Why not ask your sensei that? Kakashi is far too busy training the Uchiha to pay attention to me, Naruto said bitterly. And I can hardly ask Guy about his own student. Ibiki sighed, knowing Kakashi's unreasonable hatred all too well. Ibiki wondered how oblivious Naruto truly was to the hatred around him. From what he had seen during the exam, the boy was intelligent despite the academy reports saying otherwise, and he sensed that the boy was being sparse with the truth when he reported his encounter with the snake. It left the Ibiki with the question, why? Was the boy afraid? Did Orochimaru make him an offer? The best way to answer that was to haul the boy to TNI, but the Hokage would protest. Furthermore, the boy has proven he could access the beast's chakra when pressured, which would be unhealthy for the interrogators. Talking to the boy like this would not get him anywhere, and reporting it directly to the Hokage would end up him being painted as one of the Kyuubi haters, which he wasn't. He knew enough about the human psyche to see the boy was not the fox, or fox-controlled. Very well, if you see Kabuto, let him know I want to talk to him. Naruto blinked by the sudden change of conversation. I will. Ibiki was glad he already turned his back to the boy, otherwise the boy could clearly see the narrowing of his eyes. Most people would ask, are they in trouble? Good day Uzumaki, he bit out, before marching out of the door. Trying to figure out the best way to inform the Hokage the boy might not be loyal. So they don't even trust me anymore, huh? Naruto thought as soon Ibiki was gone. Damn it, aside from Hinata, there is no good reason for me to bother even staying here. I hope she'll forgive me when I leave. The third day came soon enough, and Naruto was back in the clearing, trying to form multiple chains without them reverting to their more uncontrolled state, where they would easily disintegrate. "So, did you make your choice?" his mother's voice called out. The woman hidden in the trees. "I did, mother. I will stand with you. What do I do?" Kushina beamed with happiness when she heard that, and wanted to do 3 things. First, hug her son to death. Then twist his ear for making her worry. Lastly, make him call her mom, instead of going all formally on her. However, as much as she loathed it, family bonding had to come later. She smiled at Naruto. "I am glad you made up your mind." Curiously, "What made you doubt?" she asked. "The few bonds I have with the village, and fear." Naruto replied honestly. Kushina raised an eyebrow, but decided to drop the issue. "Very well, as much as I love to take you with me, and never look back. Konoha won't leave us in peace. Not with you being the container of the fox." Kushina spoke. "Furthermore, we both have problems with people in this rotten village." Venom started to enter her voice. "I have gathered a force and I have allies. We will strike soon to cripple the village." "Cripple? Why not destroy it?" Naruto asked, intrigued. Kushina smiled, happy to see Naruto truly made up his mind. Destroying a village is hard, Naruto-kun. At any given moment roughly a third of the village fighting force is out doing missions, patrols or stationed at outposts. Kushina started to pace. Even with all the ninja wars, only a handful were truly wiped out beyond recovery. Kushina smiled grimly again. Although clans can be stubbornly hard to wipe out any. Naruto nodded, understanding his mother's point. After Konoha is struck and weakened, IWA will be watching very closely. The fourth did make them hate Konoha thoroughly. With those 2 villages snapping at each other like rabid dogs, it will give Oto and its allies time to capture and consolidate pieces of Fire Country. Naruto was silent. Kushina kept on talking, "But that is for the future. Now we need to focus on the now. I believe you have a score to settle with the Hyuga." Naruto scowled at the thought of Niji. "Good, show them family is important." Naruto nodded. "One of the main beliefs of the clan, family sticks together," he thought. Kushina taps her chin in thought, making minor adjustments of her plans in her mind. "I will use the start Garaken's match as a signal. I will need to remind Garaken not to kill the Uchiha, however." She saw Naruto's disappointed face. Era, we will get him later that day. He just needs a bit more time to be useful," she teased, seeing Naruto looking at her in confusion. "Now Naruto-kun, how many tails of Kyuubi's chakra can you use and stay in control?" 3. "I think," Naruto replied nervously, surprised by the sudden change of tack. "You think?" Kushina echoed. Naruto looked both embarrassed and stressed. "It's not like I got a lot of chances to practice with the fox Databayo." Kushina blinked, and then groaned. Naruto fidgeted, afraid his lack of control would ruin his mother's plan. "You have my verbal tick." Tears comically sprung from her eyes. "I had so hoped you hadn't." Naruto looked absolute flabbergasted. Shaking her head and getting back on track. "The signal will be quite clear. When it does, follow Garaken and protect him until he is ready. His siblings will tell you what targets you will attack. Unless you have a preference." Naruto shook his head. "I wish I could tell you more, Naruto-kun, but it's safer if you don't know. That way you cannot accidentally give away information. You wouldn't want to have a chat with Ibiki." Naruto grimaced. Already having had a chat with Ibiki, he told his mother so. "I see," Kushina contemplated. "Ibiki always has been a sharp one. I will tell Kabuto-kun to stay out of public eye when he comes back. Just keep looking for him, otherwise Ibiki will get even more suspicious." Before I forget," Kushina pulled a scroll free, and tossed it to Naruto, who unfurled it. Quickly scanning it, he saw it was a jutsu scroll. "Learn a new jutsu in less than 2 weeks, he muttered to himself, but Kushina heard him. "I know it is short, but do your best She suddenly brightened up. Do you know the secrets of the shadow clone? Naruto closed the scroll. I do, but it gives me an enormous headache if I try to use it for training. I understand, I see it as a kenjutsu for more than just its large chakra cost. Kushina replied. I am looking forward to seeing you deal with that Hyuga. Naruto smiled, and Kushina disappeared. Sasuke was panting after an round of endurance training. Ever since Kakashi took him to train him one-on-one, he had been pushed hard. Finally, I am getting stronger to kill him, the Avenger thought. Era, training hard I see. A woman's voice called out. Sasuke whirled towards the origin of the voice, you. He hissed. Era, me, the concealed Kushina taunted. Show yourself, and dare to face the Uchiha might. Kushina shot forward, appearing at the Uchiha side, her body horizontal supporting herself with her hands. One foot was kicking Sasuke's legs under him, the other hit the back of his head, forcefully planting the Uchiha's face into the ground. She gracefully flipped away from Sasuke, standing upright like nothing had happened. Sasuke groaned, and slowly picked himself up. You are strong, truly worthy of becoming my wife. Kushina had to rein in her temper, dearly wishing she could hit the boy very hard on the head, perhaps fixing him. Really, is that the only thing he thinks about, killing his brother and demanding strong women to become his wife? Era, did you master my little gift already then? Sasuke growled, before admitting, I can't use it anymore. Can't use it anymore? Kushina echoed in her thoughts, blurring behind Sasuke, harshly tugging aside his clothing that concealed the mark. Kushina's eyes widened in surprise. The copycat is better at sealing than I thought. Era, allowed somebody to mess with it The Uchiha stood still, just answering with a simple "hn." This might hurt a little. Kushina spoke cheerfully, before poking the seal Kakashi overlaid over her mark. Sasuke would have collapsed in pain if Kushina hadn't grabbed his neck with her other hand. Working with one hand on the containment seal, she destroyed its containment functions, while still making it look functional. She carelessly tossed the Uchiha back to the ground, clapping her hands like she wants to clean of the filth on it. Era, it couldn't hurt that much. Inwardly however, Kushina was displeased. Kakashi's seal ruined the timing I had, he won't be ready until weeks after the invasion. Damn it woman, treat me with the respect the Uchiha deserves, he demanded, still face down on the ground. Era, are you sure you are man enough for me? Kushina taunted. It worked. With a snarl the Uchiha boy rose, wisps of black chakra emitting from the seal. Moments after, a loud Sasuke echoed through the forest, shocking Sasuke out of his anger, stopping the seal to emitting chakra. Moments later, Kakashi appeared next to the boy. Show me the seal. He demanded. Sasuke reluctantly showed it, unsure what to expect. Kakashi sighed in relief. Must have felt it wrongly then, the containment seal is still working. Kakashi I smiled to Sasuke, sorry, I must be mistaken. I will be working on the camp then, continue your cool down. As soon Kakashi was gone, Kushina reappeared. Era, you nearly gave us away there. Sasuke turned towards the woman, how do I use this? He demanded. Era, I thought the Uchiha prodigy would have figured it out by now. Sasuke wanted to attack her, but suddenly realized why she was taunting him. Anger was a trigger. Kushina smiled mockingly as a look of understanding dawned on Sasuke's face. You either get angry, or you focus your own chakra on where the seal is located, it will bleed back more powerful chakra in return, making you stronger. Of course, you should only practice when Kakashi is not anywhere near, otherwise he will seal off that power again, and how else would you kill Itachi? Sasuke snarled again like a rabid animal, and leapt towards the woman to attack. But before he could reach her, she suddenly turned brown dirt, and crumbled. Several days later Kabuto observed from the darkness as Baki finished the proctor, Heiate Gecko, who interrupted their meeting. Kabuto was glad he forced himself to learn the basics of using genjutsu. cleverly covering up the site of the fight. He silently watched as Baki skillfully used his blade of wind to outmaneuver the Konoha swordsman, cutting deeply into the man's torso, killing him. He leapt towards Baki, landing near the man. "The plan is still go on, despite the interruption," he spoke, before leaping off. Baki merely offered a grim smile, before leaving the scene himself, making sure he left no traces of his presence. Nor that the Konoha man left any clues behind on what he discovered. The next day Hiruzen pinched the bridge of his nose. Problems seem to be stacking up lately. First is this mysterious village, Otogakure, popping up. With rumors Orochimaru is the Otokage, the same Otokage he received a confirmation letter that he would be watching his genin participate. Meaning he either invited Orochimaru legally into his village, protected by international law. Or the rumors are false, despite their sources and the amount of times it popped up over the years. His former prodigy student made his appearance during the second exam in the guise of a red-headed female. Either implying Orochimaru learned a jutsu that allowed to steal a person's face. Or he succeeded in his quest of immortality, by taking over the lives of people. The woman's description made him worry she was an Uzumaki, which made a logical choice for Orochimaru to take over with their long lifespan. Still, it implied survivors. He had genuinely hoped that with Kushina's disappearance, the only remaining Uzumaki would be oblivious to his origins, loyal to Konoha. It seemed however that Kiri and Kyumo were not as efficient as he had hoped. Sadly, the boy was also the container of the nine-tailed fox. Despite Ibiki's suspicions otherwise, Hiruzen doubted the boy would defect somehow. Thanks to his environment he was far too wary of other adults aside from him. His lying back at the training ground 44 was simply because he afraid. Hiruzen convinced himself. Hiruzen wished he had taken the time to talk to the boy one-on-one. But Orochimaru's appearance cut heavily into his time. Further compounded by the question mark that was Yakushi Kabuto, who in hindsight, was clearly a spy, but for who? And telling Naruto his only friend was a traitor would be a tricky case. When he thought he finally had time, Heiate Gecko is found death. Either cut by a wind-based attack, or a sharp blade. That left the rather annoying question of, why? What did Gecko find that caused him to be killed? Lastly, there was the marked last loyal Uchiha. Hiruzen shuddered at the thought his former student could do, combining his immortality jutsu with the Uchiha eyes. Possibly making his dream to learn every jutsu a reality. In the end, he could only watch, and hope the various divisions he had under his command could figure out it before it was too late, because he couldn't. Hiruzen realized he spread himself too thin with all the events that happened the past month. He sighed out his frustration, and prepared to meet his foe, his mighty pen in his hand, and assaulted the hordes of paper. Day of the third exam. Naruto was both excited and nervous. Excitement that he could settle his grudge with Neji, and if everything goes according to plan, he'd be with his mother tonight. He was nervous because that same plan meant he would be taking his first human life. He had taken enough lives of animals, but that was purely for survival during the rougher patches. In his life, he realized killing a human would be different. He had planned to make Neji his first, for trying to kill Hinata. Naruto managed to get full story why Neji hated Hinata so much from the girl when he visited her yesterday in the hospital. Hinata however urged him not to kill Neji however. Not wishing to break her kind heart, he settled on maiming. I wonder how my chain's edges cut human flesh, Naruto thought sadistically. He truly was nervous about failing however. Naruto for the first time in his life realized he truly wanted to prove himself to someone, namely his mother. Despite having barely spoken to her, the emotion she displayed struck a chord in his well-hidden heart. Double-checking his kunai pouch, tugging his clothing for the last time, Naruto set out towards the arena. Keeping himself to the back alleys and out of general sight, the last thing he wanted was a group of civilians, or worse, ninja, stopping him from showing up. He made his way to the arena without accident, and joined the Sand siblings, who were early together with Zaku. The group was soon joined by a yawning Nara, who was complaining the entire thing was too troublesome. Shortly before they were called out, Niji walked in, his very stance shouting he had already won the entire thing. Looking at the other participants as they were bugs. Only Sasuke was missing as the assembled Chunin hopefuls marched out, forming a line in front of the Kage balcony. Hiruzen, in full Hokage outfit, soon made his appearance, the public applauding him loudly. He watched with pride towards the three genin, before frowning slightly seeing Sasuke was late. He was soon joined by Shinkiro, the fourth Kazekage, also wearing the full Kage outfit. However, his were colored yellow. Lastly, a woman joined the pair, her hair fiery red, violet eyes gazing regally. She wore a dark dress, a massive Uzumaki spiral on her back, a small musical note in the center of it. "Hello Shinkiro-kun," Hokagedono, Kushina spoke formally. Hiruzen looked like he saw a ghost arise from the grave. "Kushina," he blurted out. Kushina grinned impishly. "Hello old monkey," she replied. "Protocol be damned," she thought gleefully. "I thought you died that night," Hiruzen said, shock still clear on his voice. Kushina put on a show, looking surprised. "Why would you think that? It was your Anbu that told me Naruto and Minatokoi died that horrible night." Hiruzen could not help shooting a glance towards the lower seating area, where the elder council and Danzo sat. Kushina smiled inwardly. "After reading everything in Orochimaru's archives, I started to suspect the two of you were two peas in pod. Danzo's shadow hiding in the light you project Hiruzen. It's just that your shadow does things on its own." Hiruzen's mind whirled, so busy he never took in the coincidence of appearances between Kushina and Orochimaru. Before he broke out in a cold sweat, Kushina's son, Naruto was down that arena. If she still has that temper. Hiruzen shivered. "Damn you Danzo, what kind of mess did you make trying to get a pet Jinchuriki? Damn it, if Kushina tells this to Naruto, Naruto might go berserk. And I can't trust Kushina to stop him from rampaging in Konoha." Hiruzen thought, making a mental note to recall Yamato as soon as he got a chance. Shaking himself out of his shocked stupor, he quickly droned out an introduction. Before signaling the new proctor, Shiranui Genma, to start the first match. Uzumaki Naruto from Konoha vs Hyuga Niji from Konoha. "Ready you two?" Genma asked the boys, one standing nobly, feeling victory was assured. The other haunches, like a hunter ready to pounce. "Very well, fight," Genma declared, before leaping clear. Neither boy moved, both in battle-ready stances. Niji spoke up, "Give up, fate has declared me the victor." Naruto mocked, looking around, "Are you sure? I am not seeing any signs, and Senbon guy didn't declare you the winner." Naruto taunted back, "Predictable, I had a month coming up with witty comebacks. A dead last without a clan like you would not understand fate, my victory is ensured." Niji replied haughtily. "Without a clan huh?" Naruto smirked, forming a chain in each hand, slowly letting the chain grow, forming a small pile on the ground. Niji's eyes widened as he saw the solid chakra stay in shape. "Honestly, I don't understand you branch members," Naruto monologues. "When there is finally a kind, gentle and caring soul in the main branch, instead of cherishing it, letting it grow stronger, strong enough to open the lock on your bindings, you push that soul away like the main branch did. You make your own fate, and you decided to stay a slave." Hinata blushed at Naruto's monologue, well aware who Naruto was referring to. Haishir scowled at the boy's words, painting the Hyuga in a bad light. Hanabi, who had been brought along to see the pure blood of the Hyuga clan in action, now saw a reason why her elder sister was so smitten with the boy. Niji grimaced at the punchline, and with a wordless snarl, his bloodline flared, and he charged forward. Naruto responded by yanking his right arm back, bringing the chain he was holding into movement. The chain flew backward. He made a horizontal slicing motion with his arm, while focusing the chakra at the tip of the chain upward. The combined motions caused the chain to move like a giant falling sword. Niji, spotting the chain's rapid approach, halted his charge and dived left. The chain embedded its height into the ground, forming a swallow trench. Niji quickly recovered, and continued his charge, but Naruto was already moving. Swinging his left arm outward, he made an horizontal slice, once again using his limited control over the chain to make it act like a large whip. Niji dived under the swipe, and soon started to close the last distance between the two, smirking as it seemed Naruto tangled himself up. "Accept you fate." Niji bellowed as he prepared to strike. Naruto smirked in return, and used his control of the chain to the fullest, making the chain embed in the ground move its entire length towards Niji. Mom could probably write her name in the air with her chains in the air with the control you can get over them. However, instead of disengaging to avoid the blow, Niji allowed the chain to bite into his side, and soldiered on, striking multiple times, forcing Naruto to clumsily block the blows with his left arm. Several tenketsu were closed. But before Niji could capitalize, Naruto ducked under his next blow, and moved his right hand, already dropping the chain it held, which started to disintegrate. He formed a new chain on his open palm, improvising it as a stabbing weapon, striking Niji's wounded side. The blow caused Niji to flinch for a vital second, although Naruto could barely feel his hand, he could still use his elbow, and used it as a cheap shot to slap Niji's face. Both fighters took a step away from each other. Naruto backpedaled further, Niji in hot pursuit after shaking off the pain. Forcing his numbed hand into its half of the shadow clone jutsu hand seal, he quickly formed a clone. The clone used the substitution jutsu with him, taking the next set of rapid blows, before poofing out of existence. Niji, who had a full-blown smirk at what he thought was landing crippling blow, turned to full surprise his opponent disappeared, before he noticed Naruto in his 360 vision. His lips curled in displeasure. As Niji whirled to face him, Naruto formed more shadow clones to buy himself more time, grimacing in pain as he forced more chakra through the remaining tenketsu in his left arm. "I hope the fox can fix this if he lands more blows," Naruto inwardly mused. Niji remained calm as he was quickly surrounded, fighting stoically through the storm, skillfully avoiding Naruto's blows while landing his own, destroying the clones with frightening efficiency. Naruto would admit he was impressed, although his chains were not enormously sharp, they did cut flesh. Niji had taken 2 blows to the right side, now slightly bleeding, but he kept fighting like he was not hit at all. Joining his horde of clones trying to find an opening, he rubbed his left arm without noticing. Niji, who was systematically scanning all the clones with his Byakugan, saw the odd movement, and rushed forward, breaking through the surrounding line. Naruto, his view blocked by his own clones, could not react on time. A clone however saw it happening, and substituted itself with Naruto, taking the blow. Naruto, unaware what gave him away, did his best to blend in his dwindling horde. Realizing sending a limited number to engage Niji would not work, as the boy's superior speed and experience in hand-to-hand combat would prevail. Naruto mentally went over the options he had. Kyubi chakra. Last resort. My new wind jutsu will only push him around, he is too good to be caught off guard by that. Attrition might work, but he has a way to find the real me. He is too fast for my chakra chains to hit. Perhaps a well-timed team attack from clones can do the job. I only need to further open up the wounds I already made. Coming to a solution, he made a new batch of clones, soldiering through the pain his left arm provided him. The new clones quickly filtered through the current ranks, corralling Niji, and preventing new uninformed clones to enter the fray. Well, this proves I can work well with myself, Naruto joked inwardly. Niji, already having observed the changing pattern before he even finished the last of the clones, narrowed his eyes. I did not expect to be forced to use Kaiten against him, but jumping is far too dangerous. He saw the telltale signs of the clones to pounce, and saw they were too well coordinated for him to gain an opening. As the clones launched themselves forward, Niji started to spin, the main branch Hyuga gasping in surprise as they recognized what he was doing. Hakusho Kaiten. The whirling dome of blue chakra stood firm in the sea of approaching clones, dispelling them all. Naruto and the uninvolved clones gazed closely as the smoke was pushed away by the sphere. As Neji started to slow down, a couple of ambitious clones charged forward, hoping to use his disorientation. Neji quickly showed he was not disorientated. Naruto gritted his teeth as the remaining clones charged in to buy him more time. Now I got to deal with an omnidirectional defense too, that I could try to exhaust him by trickling in more clones as he spins, but I do not know how much chakra costs him to keep the defense up. Thankfully he doesn't move. Wait a second. Naruto smiled grimly. If this doesn't work, it's going to be hard. He thought, as he summoned a new gang of clones, who already knew what to do. Neji tried to interrupt the process, but the clones smoothly absorbed his interruption, and once again prepared to launch themselves at him. However, instead of launching as soon as they could, they stood teasingly, all ready to go at him, Neji in the center of the circle, ready to use Kaiten again. Neji used his 360-degree vision, trying to figure out why the delay was. He soon found it. One Naruto, most likely the original, was forming an extremely thick chain. As understanding crossed his face, the clones launched themselves. Hakusho Kaiten. Once again the defense weathered the attack flawlessly, however, this time the remaining clones threw themselves one after the other at the sphere. Other clones formed half a ring, prepared to force Neji into his Kaiten again. Naruto meanwhile made the most thick and stiffest chain he could. He was completely absorbed in this process, and sincerely hoped his clones would succeed in distracting Neji. He left himself wide open. Judging the chain long enough by feeling, Naruto opened his eyes, and saw his clones manage to keep up their distraction. Their numbers were dwindling rapidly however. He noticed the formation of the chain and all the earlier clones but a dent in his reserves, and cursed himself in his mind for forgetting about the invasion. With a war cry, he charged forward. As he closed near the blue protective sphere, he jumped upwards, made a full turn his axis, building up momentum for his chain, before unleashing it in a devastating horizontal swing. The far end of the chain gauged a trench into the ground, catching some of his own clones, before it slammed into Neji's defense. Neji, having seen the incoming attack, increased his efforts to strengthen the barrier. The chakra barrier grinded away the chain, but inside Neji was losing speed. The chain broke first, cracking before violently dissipating. The force enough to unbalance Neji out of his ultimate defense. The remaining clones immediately pounced on him. Neji put up a desperate defense, initially successfully keeping them at bay, but then the earlier half-ring of clones charged in, forcing Neji to face them. No time to start spinning for new Kaiten. Without meaning to, he allowed a clone to enter the Hyuga secret blind spot. The opportunistic clone landing a blow on his head. Neji reacted immediately, but the rash action left him open for another clone, who took a cheap shot at his open wounds in his side, shocking him with pain even as he dispelled the offending clone. More blows found chinks his defense even as he nearly dispelled all them. Another clone came to his right side, clearly attempting to hit his wounds. His palm lashed out, but surprisingly the clone left arm raised in defense. Neji's palm slapped against it, but the clone didn't dispel, instead, thundering its right fist into his side. He is the real one, Neji thought, before grunting in pain as the attack hit. But before he could do anything, Naruto's right hand grabbed onto the offending palm, using it to drag Neji's side into his rising knee. The cry of pain told Naruto the pain broke through the boy's impressive mental fortitude. Using the opening, a remaining clone kicked Neji's legs under him. Another one jumped on his back as he toppled down, grabbing an arm into a submission hold. The clone who kicked Neji taking the other one. A third restrained his legs. The real Naruto took out a kunai, kneeled down, and placed it to Neji's neck. A Byakugan-enhanced glare greeted him, but did not stop him from making the final taunt. Where is your fate now, Niji? The winner is Uzumaki Naruto. Gemna shouted, stopping the match before the Hyuga boy would risk his life for his pride. The clones dispelled, and Naruto rose back to his feet and walked towards the area the medics were waiting. A team quickly making its way over towards Niji, hoisting him up as they tried to staunch the bleeding. Only the foreign public applauded for Naruto, impressed ferocity of the fight and the will both boys displayed to win. Niji looked at the sky as he was turned around. Darkness encroaching his vision. Where is my fate indeed, he could not help but think. He rose above it. He had to accept. Then his taunt at the beginning of the match echoed through his mind. Who could that? Hinata. Am I truly that blind? Darkness claimed him before he could answer himself. Kage balcony as the fight started. Uzumaki Naruto, Kushina echoed after the announcer. She turned towards Hiruzen. That would not be my Uzumaki Naruto, I hope, she asked with anger blazing in her eyes. Hiruzen sighed. It is, he replied plainly. I hope he was treated well despite being the unwilling container then. Hiruzen's eyes widened at her blatantly revealing a secret in front of a third party. But did not answer. That was answer enough for Kushina. We will have words, she said with a glare. Yes, we will, Hiruzen glared back. You can fight it out later, Shinkiro spoke gruffly, we have genin to judge, both of them are doing well. He said as Naruto made his second attack with his chains. Hiruzen nodded, and focused on the fight. Shinkiro and Kushina shared a glance, the final part of their misdirection campaign complete. Kushina was surprised Hiruzen did not interrogate her on Naruto's usage of the Uzumaki bloodline. I should have told him not to use it until the invasion. On the other hand, he needs it without resorting to the Kyuubi. She noted to herself, as Naruto started the final clash of Chain against Kaden. Both have the strength of a Chunin, Shinkiro mused aloud. However, the Hyuga relies too much on his clan arts, and did not seek a way to escape being surrounded. I do not think he is ready just yet. Hiruzen and Kushina nodded their agreement. The Uzumaki clearly lacks experience, he was surprised multiple times and underestimated the Hyuga's speed, he needs more experience before climbing the ranks. I am surprised you let such a green genin participate, Hokagedono. Hiruzen frowned, realizing Kakashi did a below-par amount of missions with his team. I agree, Kazakagedono, he replied. Down below in the arena, Naruto walked into the hallway connecting to the participant alcove. In the hallway stood a single ANBU, he wore a mask with red markings. Naruto stiffened. Damn it, I was so focused on beating Niji, I completely forgot I shouldn't be able to use my chains. Don't worry, Naruto-kun. Nothing is wrong. Spoke the ANBU, his voice familiar to Naruto. Knowing he couldn't use the man's real name, Helmet, he asked. He could see him blink through the eye holes, and then he swore saw the smug smile under the mask. Correct, Naruto-kun. Should Sasuke be disqualified, take your time fighting Gaara. Kabuto said cryptically. Naruto nodded, clearly there was a backup plan in case Sasuke and Gaara didn't clash. Having said his piece, Kabuto swirled around, and walked away. Naruto continued his track, he replayed the fight in his mind. Damn, I was so focused on beating him down, I completely forgot to leave him a mark to remember me by. I could have poked out an eye at least. Arriving at the contestant alcove, he nodded towards the Sand siblings before standing next to Shikamaru. Crowd Stanley gaped, he couldn't believe the rival he so far failed to beat, was defeated by a junior genin. Such a youthful fight. Guy exclaimed, tears in his eyes. Perhaps this defeat will set Niji on youthful mindset. Tenten was utterly surprised too, not believing Niji was defeated, and only able to use one of his aces. Over at Team Kuranai, the emotions were mixed. Hinata was happy Naruto managed to win, and her cousin was not badly hurt. Kiba was angry Niji failed to beat up Naruto, still smarting over his loss. His mother took his defeat as an excuse to train him into the ground. Shino observed it all quietly, having nothing against Naruto, although he was intrigued by the chakra chains. Kurunai was angry the boy had won. But the anger was less than usual, because she saw Kushina sitting in the Kage balcony, alive and well. She could not wait to talk with her surrogate mother, asking her where she was. Team Asuma behind Team Kuranai chatted over Naruto's surprising progress. Impressed by the fight, Asuma himself slowly took a drag from his cigar. Unlike most others present, his stay at the 12 Guardians allowed him intricate knowledge over the lesser-known bloodlines, and he was well aware that Naruto's chakra chains indicated him as a main branch family member of the Uzumaki family, despite his lack of red hair. He had also seen Kushina, and it was quite likely in his mind that she was the boy's mother. With her being a Kage of foreign village, the nonsense Konoha but the boy threw could be used as blackmail against Konoha. The potential to tarnish Konoha's image was quite great. Sakura, seeing the power and ferocity of the fight, could not help but wonder what she was doing in her life. Naruto seemed to have improved by a giant leap. Deep down she had to admit he was far stronger than she credited him for, something he showed repeatedly in the forest. What have I been doing? She asked herself, realizing how much she did not train, while Naruto and Sasuke trained themselves hard. The next match will be Gaara of Suna against Uchiha Sasuke from Konoha, Gemna declared. Gaara appeared at his starting point in an explosion of sand. Sasuke did not appear. The public started to fidget, wondering where Konoha's golden boy was. Hiruzen, up in the Kage balcony sighed. I see he has taken Kakashi's habits. He spoke tiredly. However, it's unbecoming of a Chunin to be late. I think I will disqualify him. Kushina and Shinkiro shared a glance. Although they had a backup plan, it relied on Gaara to control his hunger for battle. Shinkiro made a contemplative sound. Perhaps we can push their match back. The Uchiha boy is very popular, is he not? Hiruzen nodded hesitantly. Perhaps we can push the match back to the end. His lateness will be taken up in his judgment. Kushina chuckled. You just want to see your own boy in action. Shinkirikan, the Kazekage shrugged, guilty as charged. But agree, please push back the match. Hokajidono. Hiruzen watched the byplay between the other two leaders. They know each other well, why would they want Sasuke to fight? Very well, he stood up. Gemna, push the match to the back. And start the next 1 inch. This was greeted by a cheer from most Konoha inhabitants. Naruto muttered something about favoritism. Gaara looked bored out of his mind. Kankuro and Zaku glanced at each other. The next match will be Kankuro of Suna against Abumi Zaku from Oto. Could you please make your way down here? Both walked down the hallway leading to the arena. Quickly glancing around to make sure nobody was listening in, Kankuro spoke softly. Get hit by the needles in the mouth, before handing Zaku a small vial. Zaku started to open it, but was stopped by a soft afterwards, and quickly pocketed the vial. Both soon stood at the center of the arena. Are you both ready? He asked the pair, getting 2 nods in return. Well then, the second match starts. Now! Gemna shouted. Hey guys! I hope you liked the video, then don't forget to like and share this video. Also subscribe to the channel. This is Raven Sage signing off.